And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Cotton Price versus Grum Boys. Step forward, please.
Medical assistant Victoria Cotton and tax assistant Dane Price are suing their former roommate, bartender Angela Grumboyce, for overcharging them for rent and emotional distress.
Who is speaking for the two of you?
That would be myself, Your Honor.
And you are?
Victoria Cotton.
All right, Miss Cotton, you and Mr. Price rented a room, answered an ad and rented a room from the defendant. And it is your claim that you were overcharged in rent and some other nonsense about her not telling you about her past, which you think she should have told you before you rented the room. Is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Let me take care of that part first.
Okay.
You're not entitled to know the social criminal background of anybody who is your landlord. You're renting a room, she doesn't have to tell you whether she suffers from any illness whatsoever. Nor does she have to give you information regarding if she had any prior activities with law enforcement or social services. You're not entitled to that. Do you understand?
I understand.
Good. Now let's talk about the rent. When did you answer this ad and when did you move in?
I answered the ad on April the 23rd. I moved into her home on April the 30th.
Who moved in?
I did, Your Honor.
Just you?
Yes.
So what's he doing here?
I've been living there since January.
With her?
No.
So what are you doing there as plaintiff?
I was being overcharged in the beginning, but I didn't even notice it because I was at work all the time. She brought it to my attention.
So the two of you moved in separately.
That's correct.
And you're both suing her for overcharging you rent.
That's correct.
Tell me what kind of an apartment this was.
It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It was to include laundry and kitchen privileges.
Uh-huh.
When I met with Ms. Grumboyce, I stated to her that I had 2 children. One would be with me constantly. The other one was going to be with me on a part-time basis.
And when did you move in?
January 1st.
Okay. And what was the rent that you agreed on?
$475.
And what rent were you paying?
I was paying $500, Your Honor.
Now, why do you think she was overcharging you in rent?
When I first interviewed with her, she had stated to myself and to Mr. Price that we were all going to be paying equal shares of rent and utilities. Shortly after I had moved in, I had noticed some behavior and things that caused me to investigate further. I went to her manager's office at the apartment complex and I inquired as to what the rent was. She told me that the rent was $1,200 a month. Well, with my $500, Mr. Price's $475, I calculated that she was paying $200 to $225. Mm-hmm. I also know that previous tenants before me paid $550, which means that she paid even less.
And how many months did you live there?
I lived there for 2.
And how many months did you live there, sir?
6.
Okay. So let me tell you a little about what the law is. This is not a rent-controlled situation. This is not a situation where the government does oversight when someone rents rooms in their apartment or even rents rooms in their house. Let's say you're renting an apartment in a big apartment building, and you want to negotiate the rent with the landlord who wants to charge you $500 a month. And the landlord says to you, listen, I have to charge you $500 a month rent because it costs me $400 a month in order to maintain each unit. So in order for me to make any profit, I have to charge you $500. And you agree to pay $500. Later, you find out that it only costs the landlord $300 a month to maintain each unit. You think that you can go back to the landlord and say, I want a reduction in my rent. That doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. If it's true that she said that to you, that you were going to be sharing the rent equally, that's what they call in the trade puffing. That's like when you go to buy a car and the salesman said, listen, the car costs us $26,000. I'm giving it to you for $50 over that price. And you say, okay. And then you find out that instead of making $50 on the car sale, he made $550 on the car sale. You think he's going to give you back your money? She was cutting her rent. There's nothing wrong with that.
Your Honor, she herself is not even on the lease. She's lived there for 10.5 years.
Yeah.
Then I come to find out we are not even supposed to be there. Her contract specifically states that she is not to be subleasing, although her management company claims that they know that she has roommates.
Okay, fine. That's not why you moved out. You weren't evicted, were you?
No.
Left on your own. She's allowed to do what she's doing. There's no oversight. So you don't have a lawsuit. Do you understand that? But that's the law. Do you understand that that's the law, whether you agree with it or not?
I understand.
That's what the law is. So you're not living there anymore. Go, be
Your Honor,
happy,
we are
have a
living
nice
there.
life. Forget it. Goodbye. You were lovely. You presented a very good case.
Yeah, right. Plans.
Victoria lied about that I agreed to split it 3 ways with her when she moved in. That was a flat-out lie.
I have no comment.
I thought that she should pay a little more than a third because she has 2 children that have been living in my home as well as herself.
Actually, I have no comment at this point.
She didn't think that she should have to pay more than a third, and I said, whoa, wait a minute, and it was only $21.04 more.
I'd like to reserve my right to have no comment at this time. Thank you.
Business is business.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hardy versus Beaton. Step forward, please.
Groundskeeper Robin Hardy is suing Judy Beaton for dumping horse manure on her car. Judy admits she vandalized the car, but says Robin intentionally spooked her horse.
All right, Miss Beaton, I think we're going to start with you because you seem to acknowledge that you did, in fact, touch in some way the plaintiff's car. And you're going to tell me why you did that. Tell me when this incident happened and where you were.
Yes, Your Honor. It was March 12th. I was riding my horse on this road. I have photos if you'd like to see them.
Yes?
It's a very narrow, windy road with no sidewalks or sidebar to get off of the pavement. And I was almost back to my barn. I have to travel on the road about 100 yards from the trail to the barn. So I was just about to the driveway of the barn when I hear someone beeping in back of me 2 times, very long honking. My horse kind of caved in the back and took off down the road at a quick pace. And I wasn't ready for that, you know, and I was almost toppled off. And I turned and I saw someone with a black car. And I yelled at the person. I said, "What are you, crazy?" And the person yelled back at me.
Person was the plaintiff.
Yes. I said something like, "What are you, a freaking idiot?" And she said, "Get out of the road," and passed me very close. As she passed me, she cut the wheel hard, almost hitting my German Shepherd dog who was in front of me, and sped off down the road. I tried to get a plate number, but I could just get a few initials, so that was it. And I went back to the barn, and I untacked my horse and put my horse away. I was really upset about it. You know, my heart was pounding, and I've broken several bones on my horse before, and I have 4 children at home to take care of, so...
You took the saddle off your horse, and what did you do?
I got a bag, grain bag here, and I put horse manure in it, and I started to drive home, thinking I might run into her car or her, because I thought maybe she was going to walk her dogs that were in the car at the reservoir down the road. So as I drove home, I did see her car. It was the only car in a parking lot marked DPW vehicles only, so it wasn't very hard to find it. And I pulled in next to it, and I took out the bag out of my car here. It's a paper bag. It's not going to cause any damage. And I had horse manure in the bag, and I shook the horse manure onto the trunk of the car, and I got in my car, and I drove away.
Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, I do not have a trunk of a car, and I find it ridiculous that she'd be driving around with horse manure looking for trouble.
Tell me what happened.
Okay, I was driving down the road with my dogs to take them to the res for a walk, and I was going around a corner, and I seen the defendant in the middle of the road. I've had horses. I know horses will spook if the wind blows. So I stopped. She didn't notice me, so I beeped real lightly, 2 quick beeps, and she turned around. She didn't even move. She turned around and screamed, "What are you, an effing idiot?" So I slowly went around her, and I yelled back to, you know, get to the side of the road wherever I yelled. I went to the res, walked my dogs, came back, and my hood windshield was covered with horse manure. Flipped out.
That was flaky, that flaky horse manure that she has there, or was it other kind of horse manure?
It wasn't that flaky.
What was it?
It wasn't wet, fresh horse manure.
It was more like that.
Yeah, but
Okay.
not quite as dry and fluffed.
Okay.
And
So what did you do?
I called the police. They came down. They
And
helped
your
me.
windshield was covered.
Yes, and where the blades are, the wipers, it was packed in there. So that night, actually, I had to go somewhere, and I put my heat on. You could hear all the horse manure in the engine spitting out at me. I mean, I was really upset about it.
How did you find her?
I went to the stable the next day.
Because you figured it was her.
Yes, and I went there and seen her with her horse and told her. She stated it was not her. She's a school teacher. She has 2 kids. She wasn't even there at the time. She doesn't have a German Shepherd dog. And then the next day I went back there to tell the property owners, you know, what people are doing. I seen the nephew, and he told me that she was there, and she does have a black dog.
Okay, so she ultimately fessed up that it was her.
Exactly.
Okay, what kind of damage was done to the car, other than the mess?
I have pictures. Would you like to see them?
Yes.
Okay. The dent's right here. It's black, so it's hard to see. It's right there. There's 2 pictures there with the dent on it. And the third one is just a side profile of the car to see the condition.
Did you get an estimate on fixing it? It's hard to see.
Yes.
Can I see
have
the
2 of
estimate,
them.
please?
Yes. In fact, I went with the lowest estimate. I tried to be so reasonable with these people.
Okay. Anything you want to tell me?
Yes, Your Honor. The reason I didn't admit that it was me the next day at the barn is because she brought her husband with her, and they both came walking at me with scowls on their face, wanting to know who this girl was. So I denied it because I was at the barn by myself. And I said, if you do find this girl, I said, what do you want from her? And they both said almost in sync, we just want an apology. Then as the days went on, it went to $1,100 for a new hood.
$685.
It went down. There was several estimates.
That's what happens when you have estimates.
So actually, I went to the police because she was relentless to the owners of the barn, showing up, wanting my name and address. I had given her my cell phone number that day at the barn because I wanted to take it off of the owner and let her deal with me. Because I figured she would find out that it was me and I would be the one.
Okay, so you finally fessed up. Why did you go that extra step? I'm just curious, Ms.
I was
Beaton.
just very upset, and I don't know. I was sorry after I did it, but it was too late.
It's the wrong thing to do. Go ahead.
So we actually had a conference call, Your Honor, with the Wilmington Police Department to settle this because it just went on.
I have that police report. If you'd
I'd like to see it.
It went on and on for days and maybe a week and a half, and I just want it to be over. So Officer from Wilmington Police Department.
It's the first paragraph, Your Honor.
Just a minute. Go ahead.
I had to go and file a no trespass order against Robin because she wouldn't stop going to the barn, and the owners were pressuring me to get rid of her because they were busy. They have children, and they didn't want her constantly stopping over there. So I filed a no trespass order against the barn address, not my address. And when I was at the Wilmington Police Department, he asked me if I would be interested in settling this, and I said yes. The next day, he called me at home, and we were both on the phone with Officer. And we talked, and I said, you know, I didn't damage your car. I may have put the manure on it. I did not dent your car. It's soft. I didn't do it.
Oh, but when you put the whole bag on the car in order to get it out, it dented the hood. It may have been very light stuff that was poured on it, but when all of it is in a bag and you fling it on a hood in order to spread it around, it caused a dent. Caused a dent, and you have to pay. And it was a stupid thing to do, Ms. Beaton. So you have to pay for stupidity. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $685. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
What can I say? I think it's outrageous that school cheeses drive around with horse manure
I still don't believe that it caused a dent. I think it was already there because her car's 6 years old.
and dump it where they want when they're in a bad mood.
I thought I might teach her a little lesson.
She's an idiot.
Fear for my safety, fear of falling backwards off my horse.
I wanted to find her and choke her.
Don't take the law into your own hands, maybe?
She is an idiot, that's all I have to say.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Sharon versus Johnston, step forward, please.
18-year-old student Courtney Sharon is suing her former co-worker, 25-year-old animal hospital manager Felicia Johnston, for destroying her homecoming gown.
Ms. Sharon, according to your complaint, you loaned the defendant a dress. It was a formal dress that you had worn to your homecoming party or something, some other such thing. And she returned it eventually ruined. You want her to pay $500. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. I returned
And I didn't ask anything yet. And Ms. Johnston, is your claim that you believe that she didn't want the dress back when she ultimately said she wanted it back, you put it in a bag, and you gave it back to her?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When did you lend her the dress? Under what circumstances did you lend her the dress, and when did you ask for it back?
I lent her the dress. It was around August of 2001 when she was hired at the clinic, and she was my
What
boss.
clinic?
Talgie Road Veterinary Clinic. It's a member of the Pet's Choice Company. They have
So
clinics.
she was hired at the same place that you were working?
Yes.
How come she asked you for a dress? Tell me
There
when.
was a Pet's Choice event that she needed a formal gown for, and of the people who worked at the clinic, I was most close to her size, I guess.
Where were you when she asked? I mean,
we were at
alone?
work. So
Were you? I know you have a fixed agenda. Listen to me. Did she come to you individually and ask you for a dress, or did she say to a group of people, anybody have a dress I can borrow?
It was in a group setting, but she asked me specifically.
And you said?
I said, as long as you return it dry cleaned in the condition that I loaned it to you, which didn't seem like it would be that difficult to do, then I don't mind.
Fine.
You know, I really didn't want to, but she's my boss, so.
How many times had you worn it?
I had worn it once for about 3 hours, and it had been dry cleaned afterwards and kept in a cedar closet, wrapped
Is that
up.
the way you gave it to the defendant?
Yes. I have photographs of the dress, you know, what it looked like when I loaned it to you. And
When did you first ask for it back?
About 2 weeks after she wore it, and she said that it was at the dry cleaners, which I assumed to be a pretty logical explanation to where the dress was.
Okay, good. And so you asked for it 2 weeks later, and then again?
Again, about a month later, and then 2 months later, and 3 months later. And in the meantime, she started to sabotage my job, and I quit. And at that point, I really got after her about getting it back, and she kept saying it was at the dry cleaners. She wasn't real specific.
Let me see the dress. Bert, could I
If
see
you'll
the
look
dress,
at the bottom hem, she pulled it down and then tried to hot glue it back together, and
Can I
the
see
lining
it?
is ripped.
Bert, would you hand this back to the plaintiff and ask her to point out on the dress where it's ruined?
Thank you. There's little rips and tears in the fabric, but the thing
No, I want you to show me exactly where.
Okay.
The big thing that you're talking about is what?
If you look at the bottom hem, it's totally seared off right here, and it's been let go. There's a big rip right there, and the hem has been let down and then tried to reattach with hot glue.
She's shorter than you are.
I don't know why she would do this.
Listen to me. She put a hem on your dress.
Yes, with hot glue. And also, there's these huge, huge rips in the lining.
Well, she did that because she couldn't shorten the dress without cutting the lining.
Yeah, and
Right?
then there's
Right?
a big old rip
Actually,
right here.
I didn't. I can't hem. I can't sew.
Apparently
I have no
not, because
creative.
she used hot glue
No, no,
to hem.
I have
I'm
no,
not speaking to you.
Yeah.
I have no creative bone in my body. I didn't hem it. I wore. I mean,
Just
I
a
wear
minute.
big heels.
Just a second.
Okay.
Clearly, the dress was, somebody
Right.
attempted to make the dress shorter. Could have been Velcro that somebody tried to iron.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
There was in the lining right there, because when I stepped up on a step, I had on big heels and I did step on the lining and it did tear the lining.
So then you tried
But
to
that
fix
was
it.
the only thing that was torn was the lining. And I did try to fix the lining, yes. But since
Okay.
it's mesh, you can't really
Oh, okay. Fine.
sew it.
Would you like to see
Yes. Now, let me take a look.
this? And if I can have my mom, she'll testify to the condition it was returned in. The dress,
Well, I
I
see it
wouldn't
now. You
loan
didn't have
it
it
out
clean.
the way that it
Shh,
looked.
You didn't have it clean, did you?
No.
Oh, okay.
She didn't either.
Oh, I see what happened. Your heel went through the dress.
Right.
It's happened to me.
If she would
But
have
I
just
was wearing my own
fessed up,
dress.
it would have been
held being
okay.
short.
Okay. Here you go. Thank you. Give it back to her. Okay. How did she return it to you?
It was wadded up in a plastic grocery bag, and it wasn't handed to me. It was thrown at me by Sandy.
Okay.
And
Who's
she
Sandy?
told me
This
she didn't
one?
want to hear anything else about the
Yes,
damn
ma'am.
dress.
This is Sandy.
This is
And
Sandy.
it was given to you in a shopping bag, grocery bag.
Right.
Okay, Miss Johnson, I'll hear from you.
Basically, I was invited to a play that we had to do for work. And we were in my office, and we were discussing that I needed a dress. Never asked anybody for a dress. I have one at home that I was talking about. I just needed a shawl. The next day, she came in with a dress that had a shawl, and she said, I have this one. She is known for kissing up and what have you with the doctors that had worked there before I got there. So she brought me in this dress, and I was like, well, you know, I don't feel comfortable borrowing a dress. And she said, well, don't worry about it. I don't wear it anymore. I've only worn it once. So I borrowed it. A week later, I mean, you know, I borrowed it. It was at home. A week later, she asked me about it, and I said, yes, I was going to get it dry cleaned for you. There was no agreement beforehand. I said, yes, I was going to get it dry cleaned for you. She said, don't worry about it. I won't ever wear it again anyway.
You ultimately returned the dress to her in a shopping bag.
Yes.
Wrong!
Right. No, you're right. You're exactly right.
That's why I'm here.
Right. But
that's why I'm here. You borrow a dress, you do the responsible thing. If you're the responsible adult,
right,
and she's the young associate,
Right.
You do the responsible thing. You borrow a dress, you wear it, you take it to the cleaners, you have it cleaned, and you return it.
Right.
Now, you were probably embarrassed because you would rip the dress, sort of let it slide. That doesn't mean that your dress, Miss Sharon, appreciates in value. It's not an antique. Let me explain something to you. You didn't spend $500 for that dress.
I spent more than that. I have records and everything.
Oh, well, I'd like to see.
Okay, we went
I'd like to see the bill and the check that you wrote for that dress for $500.
We don't have the bill and the check because you can't return formal gowns, but about a week ago, my grandmother went to the Jessica McClintock store.
Listen to me.
Yes.
I want to see your check or a paid bill for how much you paid for the dress.
Your
What?
Honor, Sandy was there. I asked Courtney, I said, okay, it was a misunderstanding. When I asked you or told you about the dress, she said, don't worry about it. I won't ever wear it again. So I didn't. I mean, I honestly didn't. I go to work. I go to school. I have a 3.5-year-old.
I don't care.
Whatever. Yeah. So anyways, so she told me the dress was $150. The dress was $150. Sandy heard it. So I said, okay, well, since it was a misunderstanding, I'll pay you $75. That was before she quit. I went to a meeting 2 days later. I get a call from my receptionist, whoever, saying that Courtney never showed back up for work again, blah, 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 blah. Her mother starts calling saying she's a marketing saleswoman and needs the number to my corporate office. They're writing letters, trying to get my corporation to pay for it. The dress went from $150 to $300 to $500 to $700.
She ruined the dress.
Exactly.
She ruined the dress. She didn't ruin the dress on purpose, by the way, by putting her heel through it.
No,
of course
That was, she didn't ruin it on purpose, but if she would have said to you immediately, listen, I ruined the dress, there's no point in having it cleaned because you're not going to be able to wear it because you're taller than I am.
Yes, ma'am.
It's going to be, unless you put beading all around the bottom or something
Yes.
else, which you could do. I mean, if you ever wanted to wear this dress again, you can do it. There is a way of fixing it. But that would
Well, we need to
involve
talk
you.
because I do want to do that.
What?
I would, if I could in any way salvage this gown. I
Oh,
would-
you can salvage it.
Yes.
Believe me, I've looked at it. Other than the bottom, which you need because you're a little tall. I'm
yes.
speaking. Don't you understand when I'm speaking? I'm not interested in what you're saying. And neither is he. You can save that dress if that's what you want. And I believe you can save that dress for $250. You can put a nice border on the bottom and have it clean for $25, and then you have a brand new dress that you put back. So I'm giving you a judgment for $250 because I think that the dress is worth at least that in salvage. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It's really sad when adults can't take responsibility for their actions.
Courtney would show up harassing my clinic, harassing my clients.
I wore it with my high school sweetheart. It had a lot of special meaning to me.
She says she was with her high school sweetheart and she's had more than I can count.
She started to blackmail me. She started writing bad letters about me to the company and bad-mouthing me to the other employees.
She quit working for me because she wanted to be a beer tub girl at a club, and she was doing ecstasy and drinking on the side as well.
I guess now I'm going to have to be more suspicious of people, whether they seem to be responsible adults or not, because sometimes they aren't.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Epps versus Ward. Step forward, please.
24-year-old bus driver Matisha Epps is suing her former friend, 22-year-old college student Melinda Ward, for an unpaid loan for a car.
Well, there's certain things, Miss Epps, in your complaint that I understand and some that I'm a little confused about. So let me start with what I do understand. You tell me if I'm correct. This was a friend of yours?
No, this is my cousin's girlfriend.
But she was a friend of yours?
Yeah.
And she wanted to buy a car?
Yes.
And she asked you for a loan for the down payment on the car?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you wrote out a check for the dealership for how much money? $2,500?
$2,500.
And you post-dated the check?
Yes, Your Honor.
She said to you, according to your complaint, don't worry, by the time the date comes when the check is going to be deposited, I will have enough money so that I'll give it to you and the check will be covered.
No, Your Honor. She's supposed to pay it to the finance company.
So she was going to pay it herself so that they would never cash your check?
Exactly, Your Honor.
Well, she didn't do that.
No.
And they cashed your check?
Exactly.
And you were forced to make good on that check?
Yes.
Now, Miss Ward says she called you before the time that they cashed your check and told you to put a stop payment on the check because she wasn't going to be able to come up with the money.
Yes, my ex-fiance called Letitia Epps a week prior to October 21st and asked her to place stop payment on the check. For whatever reason, she didn't do so.
Just a second, because you weren't going to have the money.
Yes.
Did he ever call you?
Yes, Your Honor, he did.
And what did he say when he called you?
He told me that they weren't going to have the money yet, and so I could put a stop payment on the check.
And why didn't you do that?
It was just like a couple of days in advance. I don't believe it was a week in advance. It was just like maybe a couple of days in advance when he called and told me that they weren't going to have the money. And by the time that I called the bank, it was too late. They had posted the check.
But he called you before.
Yeah.
Well, why didn't you stop payment on it? Why didn't you call immediately that day?
I work 6 days a week and I work long hours.
If you work 6 days a week and long hours, it would seem to me that $2,500 is important to you. So now I understand, and I understand that you made the call. Did you, in fact, buy that car? Is not an answer.
Okay. Yes, I did buy the car.
Good. So you got the benefit of her $2,500. Is that right?
Yes.
So what difference does it make? What are you? Are you stupid? Is he stupid? If you said to me I couldn't afford to buy the car, and I didn't buy the car, but you bought the car using her $2,500, and now you don't think that you have to pay her back?
Well, had she have placed stop payment on the check, I wouldn't have even had the car.
Just a second. You're some piece of work. Now, what kind of moral character do you think that I believe that you have because you didn't pay her back the $2,500?
I tried.
What do you mean you tried? What does that mean you tried?
Well, after the check went through, my ex-fiance and I attempted to give her $200 in which she could have put towards the check. She said she didn't want anything to do with it. Yeah. She gave us the number to call whoever the financial company that was dealing with the check. They didn't want to deal with us because it was her check. So we definitely tried.
Well, you're making payments now on the car, aren't you?
No, I don't have the car anymore.
Where is it?
It got totaled in an accident.
When?
Last July.
You think I should believe everything you're telling me?
I don't have a reason to lie.
Go ahead.
I also like to say, this is my cousin, Miss Epps is my cousin. I went to her house. We did the best we could, honestly.
No, you didn't. If you did the best you could, you were driving around in a car that she paid for. The best you could is to pay her back the $2,500.
That's what I'm saying. When we realized that we weren't going to have all the money, we went to talk with her. We contacted her, and we also went to talk with her about that. I went to her with money in my hand. She said because, like she said, because she works and everything, I was under the impression that she didn't want to deal with it. She told me to deal with it, the best way I could.
Did you ever hear the expression "no good deed goes unpunished"?
Yes.
That's what happened. They are two amoral people. I was sympathetic with them at first. If he called and said, listen, we don't have the money, and you didn't get around to calling and putting a stop payment on the check, but then they went ahead and bought the car and paid for it. How long did you drive that car before it was totaled?
A year.
And during that year, if they had said, every month I'm going to give you $200, you would have had your money.
Yes.
You didn't do that, did you? The answer is yes or no. Did you do that?
We wasn't allowed to. No, we wasn't allowed to, Your Honor. If I can explain to you.
No, you can't explain to me. You mean to tell me that if every month you put $200 in an envelope and left it in her mailbox, that she would have taken the $100 bills and thrown them away? Is that what you think? Is that what you think?
No.
What kind of work do you do?
Right now, I'm a...
What kind of work do you do?
Actually, I'm unemployed right now.
Right.
I was a custodian.
Right, you're unemployed right now. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. That's all. Goodbye.
My credit was damaged.
It's my cousin. I love her.
It took away from vacations for me and my kids.
Sorry about that, too.
I apologize. I hope you can forgive me.
I can. I have no hard feelings at all.
21-year-old assembly operator Monique Betker is suing the father of her son, 26-year-old machine technician Robbie Schwant, for the return of her furniture and for breaking her nose. Robbie is countersuing for car rims he inherited from his deceased brother.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 206 on the calendar in the matter of Betker versus Swant. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Betker, you and the defendant lived together for a couple of years, well over a year ago.
Yes.
And you have a child together. How old is the child?
Almost 2.
And it is your claim that the defendant owes you for furniture that he has that you believe was either yours or at least both of yours, and for an assault that you say he perpetrated upon you, causing you to have a broken nose and substantial medical bills. Mr. Schwantz says that the furniture was his, and he says that you started the fight that resulted in whatever injury you had. As a matter of fact, the charges in that case, he says, were dismissed because you acknowledged to the court that you hit him first, and he is counterclaiming for something about his deceased brother's car rims. Right?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, tell me about this separation in August of 2001.
He got possessive. I switched shifts to second shift, different plant. He accused me of cheating on him. I went out one evening after work with a couple of friends, and I come home the next day because I was too drunk to drive, and the door locks were changed.
Where was your child at the time?
My mother.
Is that when this incident happened that caused you to have a broken nose?
Yes, because I went the next day to receive my belongings, and we started arguing. He kept following me around the apartment. I noticed most of my stuff was broken.
So what happened?
I started packing up my clothes, and he was yelling at me, calling me obscene names, and he called me a word I didn't really like, and I threw a burp rag at him, and he come at me with a fist.
Threw a what?
A burp rag.
Yeah.
And then he punched me in my nose.
Your Honor, that's...
I'll let you tell the story.
Yes, sir.
And what happened next?
I called the cops. I have a copy of the police report.
Okay. I'd like to take a look at it. Now, can you explain to me why you waited a year? Forget the incident involving your broken nose for a second, or this has bloody nose. You'll show me the bills later. Because I assume you went through a criminal proceeding?
I never actually went to court, Your Honor.
Really?
While I was in jail, the judge had reviewed the case and dropped all charges against me.
Do you have a report on that? Do you have any paperwork
No, Your Honor.
on that? How long were you incarcerated?
For 2.5 days.
Okay. What furniture do you claim that he has that belongs to you?
My living room set, my bedroom set, and other small belongings, which
All right,
I have
let's
a
start
list.
with living room set and bedroom set. Who bought it?
My mom bought the living room set. I bought the bedroom set.
Is that right?
The living room set, her mother gave both of us
Yeah.
while we were together.
Okay.
The bedroom set she did have before we even got together.
So why didn't you give them back to her?
She took my son, and then over the next 2 months I wasn't able to see my son, so I had no contact with her whatsoever. And then later when I moved out, then she had more than ample time to come get her stuff. I had talked to her, so I ended up putting her stuff in storage at my own expense because I didn't have the heart to just leave it in the apartment and let it be taken.
So where is it now?
They're at my apartment.
Okay. She wants them back.
Well, the problem with that is I was given joint custody for my son.
I don't care. I don't care. The living room set and the bedroom set she wants back. Get it back to her.
Your Honor, she owes me several $1,000s.
For what?
For the tires and rims, for...
Just a minute. We're going to get to your complaints. I'm talking about things, not money. She has to get back the living room set and her bedroom set. They're hers. What else?
There's a list of Beanie Babies, some clothes. I've tried numerous of times to get my stuff back, and he come get it. Oh, don't come get it. Come get it.
Do you
don't
have
get
her
it.
stuff? Someplace?
I have some of it at my apartment, some of it at my parents' house, and a lot of it I've given back to her already.
Okay. Whatever you have a child together?
Yes.
Do you share custody, I assume?
Yes.
Now at this point you share custody. So it's a very good idea to maintain nice relations with her.
I've been
Pleasant.
trying, Your Honor.
Very good. So pack up all the stuff in boxes. Tell her where she should go to pick them up. You live close to your parents?
No.
No. Your Honor, she's
What?
had more than enough ample time over the last year. I've told her several times
Listen!
to come get the stuff.
But what are you doing with it?
A lot of it was sitting in storage for 5 months.
Fine,
while
but
she
now
had
it's still
chance to-
there. Mr. Schwantz, I don't understand you, sir. Now it's there. You said you have some of it at your house, you have some of it at
Correct.
your parents' house, right?
Yes.
Get it together and give it back to her. What are you telling me that it's being used?
Yes, it's being used in my home, which I'm providing for my son when I have him half the time.
Mr. Schwant, I want you to understand my words. The bedroom set and the living room set are going back to the plaintiff.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand? That is the order.
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. As far as the other things are concerned, physical things, put them in boxes, and she's going to pick them up. And I'm going to suggest, Mr. Schwant, that if you don't want to be an immature baby, you put them in boxes, wrap them up nicely, store them nicely, so that you don't have any quarrel with her. Because you have a child who's 2 years old, and for the next 16 years, you're going to have to get along with each other. So don't make a mountain out of a Beanie Baby. Do we understand each other?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, good. Then don't speak anymore. Now, you want to tell me? He says that it wasn't just a throwing of a rag in his face, that you slapped him first. Is that true?
That's false.
Want to tell me what happened?
We had gotten into an argument.
That I know.
Okay. The argument got heated. I called her, and she turned around. She had a rag in her hand and hit me with her hand. And after
the rag in it?
Yes, with the rag. She was holding it in her hand. She hauled off and slapped me across the face.
Slapped you. And what did you do to her?
I turned around and I slapped her back.
Slapped her or punched her?
Slapped.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Her mother gave you the living room set.
Gave to both of us, Your Honor.
Didn't make any difference who you were. If she had chosen Bird, she would have still given her a living room set.
And later today,
she said, purchase me 2 tickets, so I did.
For Britney Spears concert.
He didn't tell me it was in Indianapolis until he wanted me to pay for them.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Monique Betker says the father of her son, Robbie Schwant, assaulted her, breaking her nose. Robbie says Monique hit him first.
Well, could your slap have caused her a broken nose?
Possibly.
Okay.
I'd never seen any reports of anything,
Well,
no
let me
doctor
see.
bills.
Let me see. Where does it say you had a broken nose?
They couldn't find that paper, but it does say that I
It
had a
doesn't
fractured
say. It
nose.
says nose possible fracture. It says headaches, whatever, and it says nose injury, possible fracture. And you declined x-rays, is that right?
I did a couple weeks after that.
You have the results of those x-rays?
No, I don't.
Well, then I can't help you. If you slapped him and he slapped you back, unless I have proof that he overreacted, reports don't indicate that you had any more than a bloody nose. Okay. 5 days. You got the order. Now let's get to your counterclaim. Your counterclaim is something about your deceased brother's rims. I'm ready to hear you, Mr. Schwant.
Before my son was born, while she was still pregnant with my son, we purchased together, but in her name, a 97 Ford F-150. My brother, who was deceased now, had some tires and rims that were on his truck that was similar, only a year newer. The truck was going to be repossessed by the bank. The bank wouldn't let us take over the payments on it, so we had these rims that we had nothing to do with. So we put them on the F-150 that me and her had got, with the understanding that if anything happened between us, the rims were to be returned.
Go ahead.
Okay. When she left, she took the truck with her, and I asked for the rims back, and she refused to give them back.
Yes.
And she still refused to give them back up until the time the vehicle was repossessed.
And?
And...
So?
Well, they belonged to me. They were one of the last things that I have of my brother, who died 2 years ago.
You mean it's like a class ring? His rims for his car is like a class ring?
No, but it's a remembrance of my brother, who's deceased now.
That's what I didn't get from your counterclaim, sir, that the rims had sentimental value to you.
Yes, they did, Your Honor.
Mr. Schwant, if you were old enough to make a child, you're supposed to be mature enough to make reasonable judgments. To even come into a courtroom and suggest that tire rims are a sort of sentimental symbol of your brother that she took away when she took your truck, and you want her to somehow, and the truck is repossessed.
Yes.
Right? So that she doesn't have the rims anymore.
Right.
So you want her to give you money, and that somehow will make you feel better. You'll have the money to look at that will remind you of your brother.
I never wanted any of this back until she brought this upon me. Only thing I wanted...
Just a second! You have her stuff. You have her things.
Yes.
The rims for the car are not yours. You neither purchased them, they were not bequeathed to you.
Yes, they...
No, they weren't. Show me a copy of the will where your brother left you his rims.
He didn't have a will.
All right. They were not bequeathed to you. They were sitting on a car that was going to be repossessed. You put it on a car that was in her name. And she left with the car. Period. End of discussion. This is her furniture. According to you, she came into the relationship with the bedroom set, and her mother gave you the living room set. That's hers. Her personal property.
Both of us, Your Honor.
Sir, you had nothing to... You were just a thing. Do you understand? She would have given it to her daughter and the person, the other significant person in her daughter's life, irrespective of who that person was. She wanted her daughter to have a living room set to live on. Didn't make any difference who you were. Don't you understand that? Didn't make any difference.
No, I don't understand that, Your
It's
Honor.
very, very easy, sir. If she had chosen... Who is this person?
This is my brother. He's here as a witness.
Very good. If she had chosen your brother to have a child and a relationship with instead of you, her mother still would have given her the living room set. That's all I'm saying to you. So it didn't make any difference who you were. If she had chosen Bird, she would have still given her a living room set. Didn't make any difference who you were. Do you get it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very good. And so, but the bottom line is, what I'm telling you, is that you have a 2-year-old child together. We're talking about things, easily replaceable. She may not have done the right thing, and I'm not saying she did the right thing, because I'm telling you right now, if she leaves her child with her mother and goes out drinking or partying with friends and doesn't come back all night, and you change the locks on the apartment where you're living, that means that she has done an immature, stupid thing. Because when you have a young baby, you don't go out and play all night. You understand?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. You understand. So I'm not saying she's Miss Goody Two-Shoes. You have to
Yes, Your Honor.
understand. But you share custody with her. And if we're talking about things, Beanie Babies, I mean, what a mother of a 2-year-old child wants to do with Beanie Babies, I haven't a clue. I haven't a clue. But you picked her. You
Right.
have to deal with it. So get her stuff together and give her stuff back to you and stop being a big baby over ribs. As far as the broken nose was concerned, I don't see
Your
any
Honor.
proof of a broken nose.
Your Honor.
What?
Can I add some things? As far as me, you mentioned that I was being a baby.
Yeah.
I think I've been more than an adult about this whole thing. I initially took her to court for custody of my son. I've had my child support taken completely out of my check, so I never have to even deal with it. It's always paid up.
Good.
I fought her for over a year to get joint custody, and she still refused to have my name even on the birth certificate.
Okay, something. You picked her.
Right, and that was my mistake.
You
but
picked
I've got
her.
a beautiful son.
You
out of it.
picked her.
Right.
If you picked a baby to have a baby with, if she's acting inappropriately, you're living with your mother?
Yes.
Do you work?
Yes.
Good. Your mother helps you take care of the baby?
She helped when I take the baby to the babysitter, and then she'll pick him up.
When she's not at the bar.
Not smart. The fact that she's at a bar, if she is at a bar, if she does play, if she is not being totally responsible for your son, that's a terrible thing.
It is, Your Honor.
Terrible, terrible, terrible thing. But you have to live with it.
Right.
And if you're going to give her a zinger, what's going to happen is, at some point, she's going to make it difficult for you. You're going to make it difficult for her. Then it's going to be up to some family court judge to make a decision as to where your child goes. And you never know. You may get a good judge, somebody who'll look at the situation and say, listen, parents are equal. Mother, father. He's the more responsible parent. She's a barfly, irresponsible. And I'm going to award this child to the father because that's where the child's best interest would be served. And then again, you may get some idiot, and there are a lot of them out there, who say, well, mothers are still 100% entitled to their child unless they beat them, unless they scald them. Little children always should be raised by their mother. There are still people that feel that way.
Right.
And some of them happen to be judges. So you may not be lucky enough to get somebody who's fair.
Yes, Your Honor.
So what I'm telling you is don't be a fool. Be careful. She's still the mother of your child.
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. That's all. What?
There is one other thing. There's a matter of storage fees for the furniture that I'm giving back to her
Uh-huh.
for 5 months worth.
What were they?
$372.
What else did you have in there?
Just her belongings and my son's.
Did you use your son's belongings?
Not at that time. They were.
But
in
you're
storage
using them
tank.
now.
Yes. But I think she should, still be liable for the storage fees. I paid the storage at my expense so she wouldn't lose her furniture, Your Honor.
When did you tell her she could have her furniture?
Off and on throughout the whole year that I had this stuff.
Is that right?
Several times.
Come get it. I'd call them, I'm coming to get it. No, don't bother to come get it because you're not going to get it. I'm not giving you nothing.
That's not correct, Your Honor.
My mother has even asked for it.
You have at best $150. They half the storage because there was other stuff in there that's not property, that is solely hers. You're not talking about a lot of money, Mr. Schwant. Do you understand?
Right.
You understand? You're talking about principle.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I'm telling you to grow up.
I'm trying, Your Honor.
You're not trying hard enough, sir. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think that she's a gold digger. She used me for what she could get.
I go to the bar maybe once a month, if that.
Left after I caught her cheating on me.
Stay away from men like that.
Stay away from her.
16-year-old Angela Veers and her guardian, sales manager Patty Cooper, are suing Angela's adoptive mother, dietary manager Sherry Veers, for money taken from a settlement account.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 103 on the calendar in the matter of Veers Cooper versus Veers. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Tell me your first name.
Angela?
Angela. Person that you're standing next to is your guardian.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
She is also a relative of yours. Is that right?
Yes.
How is she related to you?
She's my aunt.
And the defendant is your adoptive mother.
Yes.
And she's also related to you in some way, biologically. Tell me about that.
She's my aunt.
She's another aunt.
Yes.
And I gather from reading the complaint that you've lived with a lot of different people. Is that right?
Yes.
And you went to live with and was subsequently adopted by the defendant, your aunt, when you were how old?
14.
How old are you now?
16.
And how long did you live with her in total?
Approximately about a year. Maybe a little less.
And it didn't work out?
No.
And ultimately you came back to live with your other aunt, who is now your guardian?
Yes.
With your permission?
Yes.
This case is about a settlement that you had. When you were a little girl, you were bitten by a dog, and there was a lawsuit and a settlement. How much was that settlement?
Settlement was $9,000.
And there were a couple of withdrawals from that settlement for some small items. Is that right?
Correct.
Way back when you were younger. What were those items?
One, I believe, was going to the dentist or the orthodontist, checking out what damages there was done after things had healed. And then the second time was to pay a back medical bill from when the dog bite happened.
And this lawsuit is about the remainder of that money, which was how much when you adopted her?
It was $9,000 when we went into the bank, got the savings, and put it into our name.
And in the year that she lived with you...
Actually, she lived with me a little bit longer.
How much longer?
We got her when she was 13, and
Okay.
she stayed with us until she was 15. And I went through a divorce, and I was starting to do a little bit of partying and wrong lifestyle for her. So that's when my sister came forward, and so I can get back on my feet again.
Ultimately, you took all of her money and spent it.
But I used it on her.
For what?
For clothes. When my ex and I adopted her, we weren't financially stable ourselves.
Then you shouldn't have adopted her.
Well, I did not want her to go into a foster home or anybody else. We wanted to keep her into our family.
Then you didn't have to adopt her. You could have taken her. You could have become her legal guardian.
I didn't even think about that.
Well, I don't care what you thought about, but when you adopt a child, you assume financial responsibility for the child. You can't take her money. What makes you think you can take her money?
But I understand that. I've been making payments for her dentist because I am reliable. So I've been making $90 monthly payments for her.
You took $9,000 of her money. How much was her dentist?
For her braces and stuff was $4,000.
Okay. Now, you could have left her money in this settlement account, in the minor account where it was, left that money there, and you could have petitioned the court. You say, I need some of this money to pay a dental bill, because she needs orthodontia as a result of it. That's fine. And the court would have given you, in all probability, the ability to take out that money, $4,000, So you got 9, you take away 4, leaves $5,000. Then she would have had $5,000. What'd you spend the rest of the money on?
But we used that to get her school clothes and her accidentals that she needed.
You have to do that yourself. You're her mother. Once you adopt the child, you become her parent. This settlement money is her money. It's her money for her future. It's not your money to spend. Don't you understand that?
Yes.
Then why did you do it?
Because when we adopted her, we thought that money was ours, so we can use that for her.
Well, let me ask you this question. Who had she lived with before?
My sister.
This sister?
Yes.
Okay. And she had $9,000. And how long had she lived with your sister?
Until she was 13.
Fine. Did your sister take out her money?
No.
You knew that. She lived with your sister a long time. And she didn't take out money for clothes or incidentals or anything else. She paid for it.
But at the time, I also was married, and my ex insisted that we do that, and it's hard to say no. I mean, it's
hard to say no. You understood that Angela had lived with your sister most of a substantial portion of her life. She had this settlement money. The money was relatively intact. So all of a sudden, you adopt her. Quick, go to the bank, take out her money, and spend it. That's outrageous. I mean, I don't know what else to say to you, except to say that you're suing for the maximum amount of jurisdiction of this court, which is $5,000. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
You got it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's it.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I know I was in the wrong.
I just hope we can all go back to the way things were before.
I'm just glad it's all done and over with.
All I ever wanted is to put things back the way they were.
Good. Oh.
Kathy Pogue and her daughter, 18-year-old student Dana Pogue, are suing Dana's sister, 20-year-old caregiver Nina Hawk, and her husband, 22-year-old inventory specialist John Hawk. Catherine and Dana say the couple owe for babysitting fees, the value of a couch, and money taken from a bank account. The Hawks are countersuing for 3 months of living expenses.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 135 on the calendar in the matter of Pogue versus Hawk. You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Mrs. Pogue, this young lady is your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is your other daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're the
husband.
Let's deal with your daughter's lawsuit first, because I think that might be easier. You are suing your sister because you claim when you were living with her, she had promised to pay you for babysitting.
Yes, ma'am.
And she didn't.
Yes, ma'am.
How old are you?
18.
How old were you when you were living with your sister?
18.
When did you start to live with your sister?
The middle of February.
Why?
I was kicked out of my father's house because I did not get along with my new stepmother. So Nina and her husband said that it would be fine for me to move in with them.
How long had you been living with your father?
I moved in with my father when I was 15.
Prior to that, you had lived with your mother?
Yes.
Why did you leave your mother's house?
Me and my mom didn't really get along at the time.
Now, what was your living arrangement with your sister?
At the beginning, we lived in an apartment, and I had my own room. And then after that, we moved into a bigger house, so I still had my own room.
Okay. Were you paying any expenses?
Yes. Actually, no, I had them under my name. I had the cable under my name and the telephone under my name, but they were paying it.
So you were not paying any expenses in the house?
No, because I was still going to school. And
the answer is you were not. You were 18, but not paying any expenses in the house.
Yes.
Were you getting any money from your mother and father?
No.
Who was giving you spending money?
My sister.
And how many months did you live with her?
3 months, I think, exactly.
Is that right?
3.5 months.
So for 3.5 months, you lived while you were legally an adult, 18. You're living with your sister. You're not paying rent. You're not paying for food.
No,
You're not paying for transportation. And if you had to go to a movie or something, if you wanted to go to a movie or out with friends.
No, I paid for it. I never asked her to pay for it.
Did she ever give you any spending money? I mean, I can't believe that in 3.5 months she didn't have You didn't say, could I have $5 or could I have $10 or...
Bought her clothes, gave her money. Yes, I gave her $50 one time, $30 another just for spending money, paid for her boutonniere for her prom, bought her pants, bought her a whole outfit, bought her food for a bird. She neglected to tell me the last month her bird was without food and it died. But besides that, I paid it all.
So why would you sue her for babysitting occasionally for her children?
Because it was a verbal agreement that she said she would give me $110 from her financial aid for going to school to watch her daughter.
During the summer, if I worked, and she made me almost lose my job. I had only worked there a week and a half, and she bailed out on me every single time I asked her to babysit during that only week and a half that she lived with me and I worked.
I'm not going to bother with your babysitting claim, so now you can sit down. You should say thank you to your sister and forget it. All right, now let's get to your claim. There came a time when you wanted to use a bank account that was your daughter's, and you put money into a bank account that was in her name and her husband's?
Just my name.
Just your name?
Mm-hmm.
She opened the account for me, Your Honor.
She couldn't get an account anywhere else. It was a favor.
But then, when you moved that account, there were some outstanding checks, I gather, or outstanding debits, and they took part of the balance that belonged to your mother. You acknowledge that?
Yes.
How much did they take that belonged to you?
$134.77, Your Honor.
Okay, well, you are clearly owed that.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. She did not give me a chance to pay it, though.
All right, $134.77.
We called twice, Your Honor, and her husband said to me
after
on the
offering
phone,
to make payments.
no, before I even had any chance to say anything else, her husband said to me, quote unquote, take me to court.
Lick my tongue, Your Honor.
And that was very unbelievable.
Yeah, sure is. Not the way to speak to somebody, sir. I'm just telling you. There's no excuse for that.
She called. She called my mom's house because we didn't have a phone at the time, and told my mom what happened. So I think it was like 4 days later. I called her Colette.
He said, "I hear you're going to take me to court."
No, just please.
Okay.
And I said, "I hear my mom tells me you're going to sue me for money that was taken out of your account to cover our other account." And she said yes. And I said, and she wanted the money by the 1st. She said it was part of her rent money. And I said, I don't know if I can give you all that money by the 1st because my rent's also due. And she said that wasn't acceptable. She needed her money, and that I was going to stiff her. And I said, well, then you then sue me.
No, I'm telling you, sir, that what you said to her was uncalled for.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, good. Then I don't have to yell at you anymore.
Also, Your Honor, he told me that I couldn't see my granddaughter anymore.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
Well, if you weren't smoking pot and drinking alcohol and
just
everything else.
Stop.
Maybe I'd allow it.
Please, I am not getting into this. Let me just take care of the money, please.
Yes.
You want to fight with each other? Do it outside.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your Honor.
Listen to me. Shouldn't say anything else that is going to make any situation worse.
And later today.
They dressed shamelessly and makeup, and they were hellions. We're 9 and 11 going on 17.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Catherine Pogue and her daughter Dana Pogue say Dana's sister, Nina Hawk, and her husband John owe for babysitting fees, a couch, and stolen money.
You have some nonsense here about a couch that you say you loaned to your daughter and she sold.
Yes, ma'am.
You sure you want to get into that?
Ma'am, that was the agreement between her and I.
What was the agreement?
I had a pretty good sized house, and I was going to move closer to my job.
Go ahead. What year was this?
The beginning of the year 2000.
All right. You said take one of my couches.
I said take both the sofa and the love seat. Please keep them in your control. If you decide to get rid of them, please, I would like them back. Or if you decide to sell them, this is how much I would like for them, because she said that her friend had expressed an interest in buying them. Come to find out, I asked her about them, and she said, oh, no, Danielle has them in storage. And I said, oh, well, then was Danielle going to buy them? And she said, Danielle already gave me the $350. And I said, well, then why didn't you give it to me? She said, well, I needed to use it at the time. And I said, okay, I understand that, but that was the agreement that you agreed to pay for them.
Go ahead.
This woman talks to me on a
No.
daily basis.
Talk to me about the couches.
She knows exactly what happened. When I was 17, April, she moved out to live with her boyfriend in Vancouver. She left me half the furniture. I've still got the buffet table, the sewing machine, never said anything about payment. I never expected this. I sold it to a friend of mine a year later. I was evicted a week and a half after she moved out because she hadn't paid 4 months' rent.
Okay, when your mother moved, who remained in the house with you?
My boyfriend and his best friend had to move in and help pay expenses.
Just a second. So it was just you and your boyfriend?
Yes.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, pretty close. Pretty close.
Forget the couches. Judgment for the plaintiff on your claim for $134.77. Let me deal with your counterclaim for a moment.
Okay.
And it will take only a moment.
Okay.
Your sister moved in with you, and your counterclaim is that your mother should pay for the 3 months that your sister lived with you.
She offered to help pay out and never paid a dime to help.
Your Honor.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Well, if you did not have what I consider a real contract with your mother, your sister she certainly is under no obligation to pay anything for your sister who had turned 18. So you want to tell me what financial contract you allege with your mother with regard to your sister's support?
Not anything in writing, just verbally that she said she'd help out whenever she could and
Helping
did
out
not.
whenever she could is not a contract.
Yeah.
Because she can't. Because she's going to tell you that she can't. All right, so your counterclaim is dismissed, and on your claim you have $134.77.
Okay.
Listen, I don't know what caused all of this animus all of a sudden, because it sounds to me as if, despite its dysfunctional nature, the family had been working reasonably well.
I love both my daughters dearly, Your Honor.
Well,
Your Honor,
Yeah.
may I ask you something?
who are you?
I talked to Mr.
No, how are you related to these people?
He lives with me, Your Honor.
I'm
And he spoke with John
It was-
about the money owed.
I'm the other person that was on the account. It was my money also.
Just a second. Are
I've
you
got proof
related?
that it
Are you
wasn't.
related to any of these people in any way?
No, Your Honor.
Then I don't want to hear from you.
They tried to say it was his.
Love your show, by the way.
Good. I love your silence.
Your Honor.
Listen to me. Shouldn't say anything else that is going to make any situation worse.
Your Honor, I had no intention of doing that. I would like to tell you that the babysitting thing was, Dana did want to go out and get a job. They told her, no, please, we will pay you for babysitting. That was how that all came about.
Ms. Polk, let me tell you something.
I understand.
If an 18-year-old moves in with a sister and her husband, and there isn't a lot of money floating around, it seems anywhere there's not a lot of money floating around, and it does cost money to have another human being in your house.
Yes.
I am positive that they extended themselves in certain ways financially.
That's probably
in order
true,
to
yeah.
have your daughter,
Right.
her sister, living with them. Whether it's for a pair of shoes or a pair of sneakers or something for graduation or an outfit or $5 to go to the movies or whatever.
And
there
I
shouldn't have been an issue. There shouldn't even have been an issue with regard to this suit by your daughter.
And I
That's all.
understand.
So let's not say any more. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $134.77. That's all.
Thank you,
Parties
Your
are
Honor.
excused. You may step out.
They just don't understand that family is family.
I'm really sorry it had to come to this.
Basically, they've run out of people to borrow money from because they burnt all their bridges, and that's what this is really about.
I don't understand why it happened.
I called him up, asked him if he wanted to handle it like a man and make payments, and he said, no, take me to court.
School bus driver Sharon Garcia is suing her daughter, maid Angela Terrell, for unpaid loans. Angela is countersuing for the return of her belongings.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Your Honor, this is case number 170 on the calendar in the matter of Garcia versus Terrell. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Ms. Garcia, the defendant is your daughter.
Yes.
Without going into too much history, there did come a time when, according to you, and I believe that your daughter acknowledges that you loaned her some money for two things. First, for a sofa that she wanted.
Yes.
And then a car loan. Then there came a time when your daughter was having some difficulty. She moved in with you.
Correct.
Is that right? With her children.
Yes.
And she put a lot of her stuff in a storage unit that was in your name.
That's correct.
That's her counterclaim. Her counterclaim is that you locked the storage unit and she can't get her property. Right?
Yes.
How long did you live with your mother?
From October 2001 to February 2nd, 2002.
And when did she lend you the money for the couch?
March 2001.
How much did she lend you at that time?
I believe it came to $26 and some odd dollars, $2,600.
When you moved in with her, what happened to the couch?
Well, when I got laid off and moved out of my apartment, she got a U-Haul, she got a storage unit. We moved everything to that storage unit.
Where is the couch now?
From what I've heard last, that she has moved it out of the storage unit and moved it into her house.
Where's the couch now?
In my basement.
Did you make any payments on the couch?
No.
None?
None. We had an agreement that when I got my income taxes back, because I had a whole year to pay on it, I had till April 2002 to pay for it, that I would give her the money for it.
You don't need the couch, do you?
No.
So you're perfectly happy to return the couch to her if she pays the money?
Correct.
That's fine. That takes care of the couch. Now what about the car? Did your mother lend you money for a car?
We had leased a car, both her name and then my name, and I was making payments. I was late on it because I was laid off, and she knew I was going to be late, and then...
But the car was for you?
Yes. It was for
And
me.
you told her that you would make the payments?
Yes.
And you didn't?
No. I was late.
So what happened?
Well, I asked her for some money to borrow to pay...
Who's her?
I'm sorry, Rebecca Martin. If I could borrow some money, she lent it to me. Then I paid February's, and then when I went in March on a vacation just to Ohio for a couple days, I had a check in my purse in my car for March's payment. Next morning I woke up and my car was gone. When I got my belongings back, she took the check out of my purse. I found out she took money out of my account of $26.33 out of my account, one for a car payment and one for my couches. But then she asked for the storage key back, so she wouldn't give me my couches anyway, even though she got the money out
Where's
for
the
it.
car?
The car's my possession.
Are you using it?
Yes, I am.
I mean, you're using it for basic transportation for yourself?
Yes.
Okay, so you pay for the car. And the storage stuff, you're prepared to give back to her?
That's correct.
So we've taken care of some of the financial stuff. The car you're going to use, so you'll continue to pay for the car. She's going to give you $2,600 for the sofa. The problem that I have here is that you have children. And I gather that since this incident that happened between you and your mother hasn't seen your children. Why is that?
With everything that... I've had a really rough life living in that household and a lot of abuse that was in the house. And I don't want my children around that. I don't want them to go through what I've went through in my life, so I rather just keep them away. And then she called Protective Services and told them that I punch them in the face. Took the chance on me getting my kids taken away.
Did you ever hit your children?
No, I don't hit. I don't punch them. I spank my children. I'm not going to lie. I discipline my children.
How old are they?
They are 6 and 3. And I could understand if she was looking out for the welfare of the children. I could get over that. Yeah, she was looking out for the best interest. To sit there and straight up lie to get a chance on... My daughter was pulled out of gym class to be questioned. She was upset about that, and
When you hit your children, where do you hit them?
I hit them on their butts.
With what?
My hand.
Anything else?
No, not like her, that she uses a spatula.
I don't think so.
What does your 3-year-old do that inspires you to hit her?
My son?
Your son. Him.
Well, if he's acting bad, throwing a fit, I mean, you know, a normal 3-year-old, you know, mouthy, no. If the timeout's not doing it, if he's not staying in his corner, I spank his butt. I paddle his butt.
Paddle it with what?
My hand.
Anything else?
No. That's hard enough. I don't need any objects.
I'm not going to get into that with you, but 3-year-olds have a limited understanding.
A boy at that.
Yeah, well. And if children grow up in violence, that's what happens. So if you grew up in what you allege is a violent household, where you were corporally punished, perhaps you want to rethink your disciplinary mode with your own children, because that perpetuates itself. That doesn't mean that your children who are used to their grandmother shouldn't see her even for a couple of hours every other Sunday, because now that you're angry with each other, what caused this rift? You want to tell me?
Well, it was a domestic violence charge upon her for cutting my face on February 2nd of 2002.
What did she cut your face with?
Her fingernail.
You had a fight?
Yes.
I was fighting her off of me.
About what?
She put my grandson in allowed him to go to her ex-boyfriend's
his father
house, who she said that she would not allow him to go over there because in 2000 he took my grandson away from her and wouldn't give him back, was trying to sue her for custody. And she called me up crying, wanting me to help her get my grandson out of the home. So I went over there with her and got the child out of the home with the police, and she said that she would never let him have his, see his son again. Well, as time went by, she forgave him and she allowed him to see him, but she said she wouldn't leave him alone with him because of all that he has put her through. She didn't want him to see that. So in 2000 of this year, 2002, February 2nd, she let him go over there because we were all sick in the home. I had bronchitis, she was sick, and my grandson was sick, and she wanted to get some sleep. So she let him go over there without her supervision. And I said, I thought you weren't going to allow him to go over there. And we got into an argument, and then she went into a rage, and she cut my face.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
They want to see her. They send her letters. They write her letters. And I want
I've not
that.
received any letters.
She goes off.
Listen, don't fight. Okay. Trying to make it better.
And later today,
there was no necessarily written contracts or anything of that.
Get to what she owes you money for, sir. I already got that part of the story. I finished with that. What does she owe you money for? What do you think? I don't remember my question? I'm not that old.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sharon Garcia says her daughter, Angela Terrell, owes for several unpaid loans. Angela says her mother won't return her belongings.
You think it's a smart idea not to let your children see their grandmother?
With her husband in the house, yes.
What do you mean with her husband? You think it's okay with her husband? Or
I don't
it's not?
want my children around her husband, really. I mean, I'm not really too worried about her. I mean, as long as she doesn't hit him with spatulas or cutting boards
What
or
if she
whatever.
just sees him in the park?
Yeah, that's fine. It's supervised visitations. It's
Why
fine.
don't you just see him in the park? It's just, she was part of their lives. It's because
I understand, and my kids miss her terribly. I hate it, but...
Not for you or not for her.
I know.
But really
for the children. I know. They want to see her. They send her letters. They write her letters. And I want
I have not
that.
received any letters.
Well, isn't there a park where you could meet?
Yes. But with, we have a no contact order, and we have a no, I can't have any negative contact with her. And the way she goes off, just talking,
I mean, isn't there somebody else that you could arrange? And I can't fashion such an order. And then you can only do that between
But I
yourselves.
still can't have negative contact.
Listen, don't fight. Okay. Trying to make it better. I can't fashion that order. That's not currently before me. But isn't there someone else? I don't know who this lady is.
Her neighbor's a sheriff for Oakland County.
Somebody else who could just pick up the kids,
Yes.
go to the park, let her spend a couple of hours with the kids a couple of times a month on a Sunday. Can't you arrange that? Be a good mother.
I'm trying.
Okay? Be a good mother, because listen, I mean, it's sort of classic. You're not an unintelligent young woman, but it's really sort of classic. You say you were raised in a house where there was physical abuse, and then you corporally punish your own children, okay? That perpetuates itself from one generation to another.
I don't want it no more.
So the children need the widest possible community of people that they're familiar with. And good, bad, or indifferent, they're familiar with their grandmother. They lived with her. She's taken care of them at various times, I'm sure. And so now they've been cut off. It's not a good thing for their overall development. So be a good mother. See if you can work something out so that the kids can see their grandmother. Reasonable?
Was it supervised?
Reasonable?
Yes.
Okay. And your mother wouldn't mind that as long as she can see them, because it's not really for her, it's for the children.
Correct.
Okay. So all the property, all of your property is going to be returned within 5 days. You owe your mother $2,600 for the couch because you're going to get it back. So the judgment is for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I did not abuse my daughter. She was not brought up in an abusive home.
It's hurting my children. She's trying to hurt me, and it's hurting my children.
I did everything out of love to help her out.
Every time I'm with her or around her, I've been brought pain.
20-year-old collection account manager Arlene Marin is suing her ex-boyfriend, 20-year-old travel agent Dean O'Neill, for an unpaid loan to buy a car. Dean says the car was a gift until they broke up.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 167 on the calendar in the matter of Marin versus O'Neill. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Miss Marin, the defendant used to be your boyfriend, and according to what I've read in your complaint, you claimed 2 loans to him. One to enable him to buy a car, and the second one after he wrecked the car to have the car fixed.
That's correct.
The defendant says that the car was a gift. He did acknowledge in his answer that there was a loan to fix the car, but he said most of that loan was paid back, with the exception of several $100s that he didn't pay back because of an incident involving your current boyfriend. So let's get to the car itself. When was this loan, according to you, for the car, and why?
Well, basically, when we started our relationship in August of the year 2000, and then he has expressed to me how he had a current car at that time, but he wanted a newer car. You know, he wanted to fix his life, so I wanted to help him become somebody. I wanted to help him with our relationship. I wanted to grow it to be something that we can grow into and be with each other.
Get to the car.
Get him on his feet. And when he got kicked out of his house by his parents, so my family took him in, and my brother's my witness. And I had spoken to my family. My family didn't agree that I was going to help him purchase a car.
Your family did or did not?
Did not agree.
Well, you should have listened to them.
They did not agree to that, but out of my own, will, out of my, I wanted to help him out. But by helping him out, with a verbal agreement that he was going to pay back the car. At least half, and I have the papers here.
Pay back the car at least half, did you say?
Yes, at least half of the car. And I have the papers here of when we took out the money from the bank, which is proof of...
You're talking fast. Because you're talking fast doesn't mean I'm not going to dissect everything that you're saying, Miss Marin.
Okay.
So you gave him the money to buy the car.
I helped him
and you said that you want him to pay it back, or at least pay back half.
That was the agreement. That was the verbal agreement.
Give me the piece of paper she wants to show me, please, Bert.
And the part that's highlighted is when we took out the money from the my bank account. So he came in.
Now, just for my own information, why half of the $7,800, Miss Marin?
Because I understood that he didn't have all the money to pay me back. But because his word, he stated to me that he had paid back his mother the full car that his mother had purchased him. And he had told me, Arlene, I promise you, my good word, that because I paid back my mother, I'm going to pay you back what I owe you.
And what did he owe you?
He owed me at least half, which is about $3,500.
He says, and put your hand down, I'm not looking at your direction. It's not that I don't see you. It's not that I'm interested right now in what you have to say. The defendant says that he had a car, and he sold his car to your brother for much less than its value. Now I'm going to ask you a question. Did you buy his car?
No.
You're a different brother.
It's a different brother.
Bought his car. What year car was it that your other brother bought from him?
It was a 91 Honda Civic.
And how much did your other brother pay for the car?
He paid $500 for it.
Is that right?
No, ma'am, that's $300 he paid for it.
Paid $300?
He was originally going to pay $500, but she reduced it to $300 without my knowledge.
Who got the $300?
Her mom.
That's incorrect. He had sold the car to my cousin for $500, and my cousin gave him the money. He had used the money to put stuff in his car, and when I resold the car, my cousin resold the car to my brother for $300. So that's incorrect what he's saying.
Okay, well, she gave me the money for the car, and she's saying that I used the money to put into the car. I didn't have a car at the time to put that money into, so...
You sold this 91 car to a relative of hers. Was it her brother or her cousin?
Her cousin originally, and she did not...
That's what I want. All right. So you sold it originally to the cousin. For how much?
It was for $500.
And how much did she give you?
Did she give you the money for the car?
No, not the whole $500.
Did she give you some of it?
She gave me some of it.
All right. Don't waltz around me, Mr. O'Neill. Do you understand? Don't waltz around me. Did you agree to pay her back half the cost of this car?
No, I was not going to pay her back for the car because she told me she was going to purchase the car for me as a gift.
She did. When did she say that?
She said that when we were in a room talking with her mother.
Was her mother in favor of that? Of her giving you a car?
No.
No, not originally, not at first, no.
I would say not. How long were you dating before she gave you money to buy this car?
About 3 months, 3 or 4 months.
Why would you even accept a gift?
I was looking for a new car. I was going to go to a used dealership and purchase a car, and she offered to buy me a car to her brother.
Why? You didn't sell the car to a brother, you sold it to a cousin.
Originally, yes.
Right. What I'm asking you is, why would you allow a girl to spend almost $8,000 for a gift for you?
It wasn't even like that. Yeah.
Why?
She was offering it, and I didn't want it at first, and I told her that I wanted to get the car myself. But she offered to do it, and she kept offering, and I just said, okay.
You mean she wore down your morality?
She was offering the car.
She wore down your morality?
No, I was not offering the car.
Yeah, you were. Listen to me. Stop being stupid. You don't make a verbal agreement with somebody to pay back at least half the car. That's not a verbal agreement. You pay back at least half. Either it was a loan or it was a gift. Loan, gift.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
They didn't give me nothing because it was in her account. They wouldn't give me no receipt or nothing.
Yes, they do. Of course they do. You go to the bank, you get a receipt.
They didn't give me any receipt. I was paying the loan back. Right?
I don't care!
And later today,
She played around with it and she pointed it at my face. And I said, don't point that at me. And she said, well, it's never loaded. And she shot it.
No.
Shut up. Don't speak.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Arlene Marin says ex-boyfriend Dean O'Neill owes for an unpaid loan to buy a car.
When did you have an accident with the car?
I believe it was in April, I believe.
You mean as soon as you got it? Try July.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Try July.
I'm sorry, it was a long time ago, so I really can't remember.
Wasn't so. How old are you?
20.
It wasn't so long ago. You should be able to remember that. You still have the car?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, in July, you had an accident with the car.
Correct.
Between April and July, did he make any payments to you?
At that time he was working.
April and July, did he make any payments to you?
No.
He was supposed to.
That's correct.
So in July, he had an accident with the car. And how much did it cost to fix it?
It cost about between $800 and $900.
How much did you borrow from her?
$1,200.
Now, why did you lend him another $1,200?
That's incorrect. The loan was for $3,000. He took all that money. I have it right here. There's the loan papers, and this is the outstanding for the insurance. It's a total of $3,800 that he owes for the loan, and he owes the whole loan.
Did you take $1,200 or $3,800?
We took a loan for $3,800.
For what?
On the title of my car. I used my title to take the loan out once the car was purchased.
Right.
So we pulled the loan out under her name, and she gave me $1,200 of that.
Oh, just a second. So you took the loan out, and the car is collateral.
Correct.
Is that right?
That's correct.
And who is the car titled to?
Me.
How much did you pay back?
I paid her back about $800. So I was paying her at the end before she broke up with me, and I was paying her a couple months after.
What did you do? You took out $3,800 on the car. Who got that money?
Well, we did, but she gave me $1,200 of it to use to fix my car.
And where went the other money?
We took a vacation to St. Augustine.
You did? Where else? What else did you spend the money on?
I don't remember. I know we gave some of money to her mom. She said that she wanted to give money from that loan to her mom as a gift. I believe
that's incorrect. I never used any of those $3,000. He used it all on his car. He bought a wing for the car, he bought a radio, whatever else he bought, he used it all on the car. I never used any of that money.
What is its current value, do you know?
Probably about $3,000. That's the value of the car in the Blue Book.
The value in Blue Book on the car, if you see on the loan papers, is $4,700.
And when was it $4,700?
A year ago.
Well, I'd like to know what the current... Do we have a Blue Book?
No,
we'll wait for you, Bert. Do you want to see if you can pick up a Blue Book for me?
Sure thing.
I have a very easy way to... You're going to get rid of this car. Pay off the loan. That's very easy. The car's going to be sold. I'm going to create an order that you will, within 5 days, turn the car in to the loan company.
Yes.
Pay off the car, see what the Blue Book value is, and that's it. Then you're finished.
But I sold my other car to hold brother.
I don't care! What? Say it standing.
That car is not worth anymore what the value of the car is.
I'm going to check the Blue Book.
Because when we purchased that car was in mint condition. That car was it's got a different engine.
Took off all the parts,
from what
the
I
radio
hear,
and everything.
that car is run down.
Maybe.
He has it all in his garage.
That's your problem. If she's going to be stupid, do you think that the courts are going to worry about that? I'm trying to at least make her as whole as I possibly can, because I think that his actions are unconscionable. But she made him a gift of this car. There isn't a question in my mind about that. She did not, and if it was a loan, she would have had a loan paper, something in writing, not some nebulous, he'll pay me back at least half, and then when he doesn't pay her anything, April, May, and June, she lends him another $3,000 on her name. I mean, that's stupid.
Now, I was paying back the loan, okay, and I had forgotten her account number, and I called her to receive the account number so I can pay because I didn't want to see her for the loan because we were broken up at the time. And she wanted me to give the money to her boyfriend to pay the loan back, and I wasn't going to trust that because at the time her boyfriend was threatening me.
Oh, be quiet. Could you find the line here, Bert? I really don't read this thing well. And find it in the worst condition.
24-25.
Your Honor.
What?
There's more to this than just the car itself. I mean, we took him in. As a family, we took him and we gave him...
He got kicked out of his house
we
by his
gave
mother.
him a home. You know, he betrayed us. And not only... I know my sister did wrong because we didn't agree with her, the decision, in giving him that money.
Where'd you get the money from, by the way?
I got, because I have cerebral palsy, and then I got the loan. Well, it's not a loan, it's an annuity payment because my father sued the doctor that delivered me.
Don't be so generous with your money.
I know.
How much money did he pay back? He says he paid back $800. Is that right?
No,
He didn't pay back anything. I can show you proof. I'm the one who's paying those loan payments.
Just a second. Show me proof that you gave her $800.
I didn't give it to her directly. I was paying the bank, and I was giving the cash to the bank. Now, I was paying the bank back.
Bank gives you receipts if you pay cash.
No, they didn't give me nothing because it was in her account. They wouldn't give me no receipt or nothing. Because
Yes, they do. Of course they do. You go to the bank, you get a receipt.
They didn't give me any receipt. I was paying the loan back.
Then you're as stupid as she is. Then you're as dumb as she is.
And if I could also add that she wanted the money so bad that she actually made an attempt to make a false statement on my father's credit report and filled out a credit card application. And she didn't receive this letter, so she wrote another one to see if she got the letter, and we got this one.
Who cares?
What is he talking about?
It has her address and her name on it.
Who cares? What does that have to do with the money that you owe her?
Because she was trying to get the money from me, so she was making an attempt to get money from my father.
You were hiding from us.
And I did not make any attempt to get anything from
Here's her address and my father's name on it.
Because you lived in our address.
Listen to me. You're going to sell the car because you didn't make the payments like you were supposed to. $3,000. If you get 2 for the car, it still means you owe her $1,000. You've driven the car for a while. I hope you've enjoyed it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000 plus an order that the car is to be sold forthwith, and the money is to be remitted to her. The other $2,000. Thank you. That's all.
Excused. You may step out.
After she broke up with me, I just left her, and now she's coming back to get my car.
It's what he did to us as a family who took him in when his own family didn't want him.
I heard her talking in Spanish with her boyfriend to get again and kick my sons.
His mother and his father both threatened me.
She's a liar, she's a thief, and she committed a lot of fraud.
I have done nothing to them.
She will go to jail, I promise you.
Jason Meisted and his fiancée, Tammy Tucker, are suing construction supervisor Joseph Gocher for an assault at a gas station. He says Jason wouldn't move his truck.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 288 on the calendar in the matter of Meisted Tucker versus Gocher. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Who's going to be speaking for the plaintiff's side? You are. What is your name, sir?
Jason.
Okay. Now, is your complaint that Mr. Gocher both damaged your car and assaulted you when you wouldn't move fast enough at a gas pump?
Yes.
The defendant says that you were the instigator of this unfortunate incident. Is that right, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
No, all right. Who is this?
This is my witness.
Was he driving in the truck with you?
He was driving the crew truck that we were trying to fuel up, yes.
Was he driving in the truck that you were driving?
Oh, no, ma'am. I'm sorry.
It's a simple question. He was not. He was behind you.
No, he was at a separate island. I had parked at another island.
Who was behind the plaintiff's truck?
The truck that my witness was driving.
Perfect. Step up here. Tell me your name.
David Wolford.
What kind of vehicle did they have?
I believe it was a Ford Ranger.
You pulled up behind them
Yes, ma'am.
in order to put gas in your...
Truck, yes.
What kind of truck was it?
It's a big 1-ton. I was pulling a big trailer.
Where were you going?
We were going to San Francisco on a job, for a job.
How many cars were in, or trucks were in the caravan that you were in?
There was 2.
Where was the defendant's truck in relation to your truck when you pulled up to the gas station?
He was the next pump over on the other side.
Did he have a gas pump available to him? Was
Yes.
he putting gas in his truck?
Yes, ma'am.
And what about you?
No, ma'am. I pulled up behind him.
Behind him?
Yes, ma'am. Behind him.
Yes.
And sat there. My brother got out and we walked around there. We sat and waited, and my brother-in-law turned his pump on, come over and give us our gas.
Who's your brother-in-law?
Joe, I'm sorry.
He's the brother-in-law.
Yes, ma'am. And he come over and give us the gas card where we can get gas when we got up there.
Okay.
And he went back in to get coffee and got his coffee, come back out, and the guy was still sitting there, the defendant.
What were they doing?
Ma'am, I don't know.
They were just sitting in the truck?
Sitting in the truck, yes.
Okay. Had they put gas in their car?
Yes, they were.
Did you see them put gas in their car?
Yes, we were pulling in. He was shutting the gas tank and getting in.
Was he alone at that time?
She was in the truck with him.
So he gets finished putting gas in his truck and comes over to give you the card so that you could put gas in your truck.
Yeah, he started his and started pumping it and brought me the card.
And you're sitting behind these people. Now,
Yes,
what
ma'am.
happens next, sir?
We sat there, and like I said, he went and got coffee. The whole time they were just sitting in their truck. He come back and he hollered, "Can you guys move your truck?" She turned around and looked. And they kept sitting there. He said, "Move the damn truck." And the guy just, about 4 or 5 inches, just burned his tire and stopped and just sat there.
What are you talking about? He just burned his... You mean he moved the truck?
Just about 6 inches, just barely burnt the tires,
Okay.
just enough to make the tires burn. And then my brother-in-law continuously told him, "Come on, move the truck, we got to go." And she opened the back window and told him, "Wait a effing minute, we'll move the truck." And he told her to shut up. And
Who told her to shut up?
My brother-in-law. "You just shut up, move the truck."
Who was driving the truck?
The gentleman.
He was?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
And
Uncross your arms.
Oh, I'm sorry. And then he got out of the truck. The plaintiff got out of the truck, slammed his door open, and come out towards my brother-in-law with his fist rolled up. So my brother-in-law,
Explain to me. Fist rolled up. Show me what that means.
like, he come out like this and come towards you. And my brother-in-law grabbed him by his shirt because, it looked like to me he was wanting to fight. When he come out, it looked like he was going to hit him. So he grabbed him. They started rolling around on the truck. My brother, that couldn't make it today, grabbed my brother-in-law, and I grabbed him, and I was holding him, and all the words stopped, and he relaxed. So I let him go. When I let him go, he took and swung and hit my brother-in-law in his glasses. Hit his glasses, cut his eye. So my other brother let him go because, there wasn't no sense of holding him and letting him get, beat up. So then they continued fighting. Anyway, they wrestled towards the truck, and they separated, and he told his wife or girlfriend, I'm not sure what she is, and told her, "Come on, get in the truck, let's go." So she got in, he took off, burning the tires out of there.
Now let me hear your version, sir.
Okay, I was getting gas.
Uncross your arms.
I was pumping gas when the truck pulled up behind me, just like they said. He pulled up at another gas pump. I don't believe he was getting gas. He walked over, started talking to the 2 guys behind me. When I was done getting gas, I got in my truck, I adjusted my seat, put my seatbelt on. Before I could drive away, he started punching the bed of my truck, yelling, "Let's go, let's go, let's go."
It's not true, Your Honor. I object.
I didn't ask you to say a word.
She opened the back...
Just a second. Did you understand what
Yes,
I said?
ma'am.
She opened the back window and said, "Stop hitting my truck." I said, "Move this piece." I let that go. I started to drive away. My 6-month-old son, who was in the front seat, dropped his bottle. I stopped, picked it up, handed it to him. Before I could drive away again, he started hitting the truck again, and now he started yelling, "Ram him, ram him, ram him," push him out of the way. At this point, I wanted to get out of the truck to see how many dents he put in my truck, which he did. He put 3 in the bed. She told him, before I could get out, I said, "Stop hitting the truck, and if you give us a second, we're moving." That's when he said, "Shut your mouth, you crazy effing bee."
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The next thing I know, I'm on all fours, blood pouring out of my face.
I looked towards the truck, looking at his rearview mirror. Said, "Hey, move the truck."
Your hot temper started the problem. My temper is going to finish it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jason Meisted claims he was assaulted by Joseph Gocher. Joseph says Jason was blocking the pumps at a gas station.
Go ahead.
I got out of the truck to see the damage. Before I could even get back to the damage, he grabbed me by the throat with both hands and bent me backwards over into the bed of the truck. I then stood up. When I stood up...
right.
When I stood up, he still had me by the throat. I don't know who it was, but one of the guys in the truck behind me grabbed my arms and put them behind my back. She, at this point, tried to help me. She couldn't do anything because one of the other guys grabbed her and threw her back into the gas pump. I don't know who it was, had my arms behind my back. They ran me into the door that was open. The next thing I know, I'm on all fours, blood pouring out of my face. I jumped up, I told her, I said, get in the truck. She got in the truck, we drove home, and I called 911.
When you called 911, did you file a report?
Yes.
Can I see the report, please? Did you know him from before?
No.
It says when his neighbor, later identified as Joseph Gocher. Is he a neighbor of yours?
He lives 4 houses down.
So what do you mean you didn't know him before?
I mean, I've seen him, but I didn't know him. I don't know who he is.
4 houses down from where you're currently living?
Yes.
Did you ever had any problem with him before?
No.
And you didn't know his name?
No.
Who's Robert?
It's my brother.
Hmm? Well, at least Robert's honest. Robert tried to restrain him because he knows he's got a bad temper. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Sit down. Now, Mr. Gocher, you want to tell me your version of these events?
Yes, ma'am. Upon pulling into the gas station, I put my truck in one stall, started fueling it, and we used a company credit card. It was company vehicles. I then took the card over to Robert, gave it to him while we were waiting for Mr. Mystad to move. I went into the store, got coffee, came back out. They still hadn't pulled up, but his truck was running. I finished fueling mine, and then I asked Robert, which was one of the other crew members, I asked him what the problem was. And I walked over there to the front of our crew truck. And he said, the guy won't move. He's still sitting there. So I looked towards the truck, looking at his rearview mirror, said, hey, move the truck. And
Let me stop you there for a moment, sir. According to what you just told me, you started the gas pumping in your truck, is that right? And then you went in for coffee?
Yes.
Tell me about that. Tell me about going in for coffee.
Well, I started the gas pump in my truck.
Correct.
I have a separate vehicle. I walked over, handed my brother-in-law the card.
Right.
And then I went in.
Just a second. That just took a couple of seconds, right?
Right. And then I went inside to
you
make
didn't say,
coffee.
shh. You didn't say anything to him. You just handed him the card and said, you know, he understood that he was supposed to fill up the gas tank.
Correct.
Correct? And meanwhile, the gas is still pumping in your truck. Is that right?
Correct.
And then you went inside. Were there other people inside in the
There was a
convenience
few,
store?
yes.
How many?
Oh, roughly 5.
And so you went over to get coffee. Did you get a large coffee or a small coffee?
I got a 20-ounce cup of coffee.
You take your coffee black?
No, cream and sugar.
So after you filled in this 20-ounce cup, then you put in cream. How many?
2.
And sugar? How many?
It's in a big container for roughly 2-3 tablespoons or 2-3 teaspoons.
And then you walked over to pay.
Correct.
Was there anyone before you when you paid?
There was one person at the counter, yes.
And so they had to pay for whatever they were getting. Is that right?
They were in the process, yes.
And did they get change?
Yeah.
And what about you? How much was your 20-ounce coffee?
$1.06.
Did you have exact change?
I gave her $1 and a dime.
And she had to make change?
I leave it. I never even get it. I walk out after that.
Okay. Now you're walking out and you've got this hot cup of coffee in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then you walked over to your truck, I assume, to get rid of this hot cup of coffee.
Actually, I set it on the toolbox because my truck had finished pumping. I set it on the toolbox.
That's my point, sir. You put on the gas. You didn't stay with your truck. You walked inside, took care of your business. Anybody who pulled up behind you waiting for your truck to be finished would have to sit and wait for you to come out from getting your coffee with cream and sugar and paying the bill and waiting behind somebody else who was also getting their stuff. You didn't give a rat's behind about somebody waiting for you. You said, let them wait. You didn't even think about it. You went inside. Oh, sure, because you said my gas was already finished pumping.
No, because I know how long it takes for me to walk in,
Bull!
get a cup,
Bull!
and my truck was totally empty,
You know,
so I know how long it takes to fill
I'm 10 steps ahead of you, sir.
Go ahead.
I'm 10 steps ahead of you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jason Mystad claims he was assaulted by Joseph Gocher. Joseph says Jason was blocking the pumps at a gas station.
So, you walked inside and you didn't care. You said, walk inside and get my coffee. You didn't finish putting the gas in the car, putting back the cover, moving your truck over to the side so that somebody else could come and get gas. You took care of your business.
There was nobody
and then you
behind
went
me waiting.
Just a second. And then, well, That being the case, sir, you could have had him pull up behind you. It didn't bother you one bit that somebody may have been waiting an extra maybe 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes, maybe 1 minute for you to come out with your coffee and move your truck.
No,
that didn't bother you at all. You are some hothead. You are some hothead. And Robert knows it, because Robert said to the police, I went over there because he's a hothead, and I wanted to make sure he didn't cause any trouble. That's what Robert said to the police.
No, when I'm confrontated, yes, I do tend to go.
Confrontated is not a word, sir.
Well,
not in the English language. Not in the English language.
Confronted.
You got a hot temper. What do you think he was doing in there? Do you think he was writing a song? What do you think he was doing in the truck? He's got his wife or girlfriend who's pregnant. He's got a baby, a 6-month-old baby in the car. What do you think he's doing? For you to get so excited. You want to be a human being? You walk over and you say, is there something wrong? Is there any reason you're not moving? You don't shout like you did and call her a name like you did. Because even he knows you did it.
I admit to doing it.
Well, then
No
you're
problem.
responsible. Then you're responsible for the damage to his car.
But I didn't hit his truck. I never touched his truck.
Listen to me, sir. His truck was damaged, according to the police, by him being thrown into the car.
To the door.
Right. You're responsible for that. You started the problem.
I offered
Your
to pay
hot
for the
temper,
door.
your hot temper started the problem. My temper is going to finish it. Because there was no reason for you to put your hands on him to start this whole confrontation. You took your sweet time going into a convenience store, getting your coffee, and you didn't give a hoot about who was waiting behind you, about somebody else looking to pull their car up and get gas. When I get finished, I can just imagine your attitude if someone who was behind your truck saying, what do you mean you went in to get coffee and just left your truck here? What are you, crazy? You stupid SOB? You would explode. You would have a fit.
If somebody was behind me, I'd just move the truck out of the way.
How can you do that, sir? You're putting cream in your coffee.
There was nobody.
Can
There
I
was
see the
nobody
damage
behind
to your
me.
truck, please? Mr. Maistat, I'm not finished with you either. I want to tell you something. You didn't use your brains either, because you're dealing with someone who is not wrapped too tight, who's got a hot temper, who got your goat because he called your wife a name. You get out of your car or your truck, she's in the car, you got a baby in the car, and you start a confrontation with him. That's not swift, sir. That's not swift. You're dealing with somebody who has a bad temper. You're better off pulling away, going to the police, and saying, I believe someone just damaged my car. This is what their car looked like. Right?
True.
Right? That's what you do when you're dealing with somebody who's a lunatic. My only problem is, the only reason he wasn't arrested is because he had 2 witnesses who testified to some cock and bull story. You have pictures of yourself, sir?
Yes.
I'd like to see them. I see a lot of feet pictures. I don't see any injury here, sir.
It's the ankle.
What happened to your ankle?
Well, I broke it back in on June 30th. I just got off a cane when this all happened, and there's a re-injury. Here's my emergency room records of going back in.
How much did the emergency room cost you?
It was $619.
Between the emergency room visit only, which is all that I'm considering, and the damage to the car, which is $1,724, $2,343. Now, what you're suing for is $5,000, sir, because you want also to be paid for lost wages due to assault, to the assault.
Yes.
What lost wages did you have?
Well, like I said, I broke my ankle on June 30th. I was on crutches for 6 weeks with the cast. When I got the cast off, I was on crutches for a month. I went to rehabilitation, was on a cane.
That has nothing to do with him.
Well, no, I just got off a cane, just got back to work. When he assaults me, and with the emergency room records there and seeing my doctor, I was back on disability for another month.
Chalk that up to your own stupidity. I told you that there is a contributory negligence on your part, contributory stupidity. If you would just get off of crutches, he was wife or his girlfriend?
I'm his girlfriend.
Girlfriend had to take care of you 6 months. You weren't working. You explained to me the wisdom of getting out of the truck, your truck, to confront him.
Well, when somebody's punching your truck, don't I have the right to get out and look at the damage?
No, what you're supposed to do when you have a nut who's hitting your car.
I didn't know he was a nut.
Oh, no? You didn't know he was a nut? You didn't know he was hitting your car because you weren't moving fast enough?
And I don't have the right to get out and check out the damage?
I'm not talking about right. I'm talking about using your brains. I'm talking about trying to be a little smart, just like you drove off and tried to find a police officer. Is that what you try to do? Then you do that first. You don't do that after the damage is done. You try to do that first, especially when you have a baby in the car.
I did try to drive away the first time.
Yes.
And they punched my truck again.
So, even more so, the guy's a real nut. He hit my car a second time, and I'm driving away. How many babies do you have?
This will be number 2.
Grow up. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of both the damage and the emergency room treatment, which is $2,343. As far as your lost wages is concerned, chalk that up to the fact that you didn't use good judgment. Because he is a hot-tempered idiot doesn't mean that you react when you have a baby in the car to somebody who's acting inappropriately and like they're not wrapped too tight. That's what you're supposed to do if you're a responsible parent. By the way, is there any reason why the two of you aren't married?
We're engaged.
Is there any reason why the two of you who are having a second child, why you're not married?
What does that matter?
I'm just curious. I said as a matter of curiosity, matter of responsibility.
We've been engaged and we plan on getting married, yes.
Well, is there any reason, madam, why before you have your second child that you don't decide to make that kind of a
Because I don't want to be
commitment?
pregnant walking down my aisle. I want to...
Well, you had some time between the first and the second, didn't you?
Yes, I did,
Good.
and I didn't want to get married in the winter.
You want to get married?
Bye-bye. You know, I was under stress to get crew up to San Francisco, and maybe his ankle was hurting him. I don't know.
I got out to see how he was going to fix it.
I was rude. I do admit that's probably set him off.
It was very frightening seeing 2 men jump my husband and one grab me and throw me into a gas pump because I tried to help him.
I'll park my truck before I get my coffee from now on.
Normal people don't act like that.
And I'm really not a hothead.
Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case number 212, Duenas versus Cho.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Duenas, it looks to me from your papers that you decided to go into a business with someone.
Yes.
With whom?
With the defendant, Brian Chow.
And you know him how?
He's a family friend.
And you know what his business is?
Yes.
What is his business?
He currently sells reticulated pythons, snakes, exotic animals, monitors, lizards.
And you like those things?
My ex-boyfriend did.
Did you?
I was more for the investment part.
Okay.
I was the investor at the time.
At the time you reached out to this family friend who was in the exotic snake business, your idea was to create a business.
No, Your Honor. It was actually the defendant's idea.
I don't care whose idea it was. Your idea was to create a business with your ex-boyfriend.
I agreed to the business, but it wasn't our idea.
Whether you agreed to the business or not, you invested money in the business.
Yes.
Which means that unless there's something wrong with you, and I see that there is not, you wanted to go into business with the defendant.
Yes.
So let's be easy.
Okay.
And at the time that you wanted to go into business with the defendant, I'll get to what the nature of that business was in a second. I know it had something to do with that wonderful-looking snake. You had a boyfriend.
Yes.
And the boyfriend liked snakes.
Yes.
And you went along with the ride.
Yes.
What month and year were you still with the boyfriend when you decided to go into the business, which you will explain to me?
Back in November of 2019.
So right before COVID.
Yes.
What was your boyfriend doing at the time?
He was working at an airport.
And he and Mr. Cho were friends?
Yes.
How long had you known him?
2-3 weeks, Your Honor.
Where did you meet him?
He came into my store and acquired
I didn't ask you anything. That's how you met him?
Yes.
I'm going to get through this case and get this lovely thing out of the courtroom as quickly as I possibly can. Well, some people find them exotic and gorgeous. I find them a little bit squirmy. So in November 2019, boyfriend and you decided to go into the business. Explain the business that you invested in.
I invested on 5 reticulated pythons, breed them, and make a profit out of them.
So the intention was never for you to take these pythons to your residence?
No.
And you understood that? No.
They're buying the snake, Your Honor.
Okay. How much were the 5 snakes?
In total, it was $10,000. plus the feeding and the cages that he claimed that the snakes needed.
Was it your agreement that for $10,000, Miss Duenas and the boyfriend were going to buy 1 male snake and 4 females?
They decided to buy 2 snakes.
Well, when was that decision made, sir?
A week after I met him, because
When you went into the shop, did you ultimately decide on 1 male, 1 female?
No, so how it is, Your Honor, is he knew my ex-boyfriend prior to the business 5 years ago. He sold him a exotic Australian monitor lizard.
Okay, what I want you to tell me is, did there come a time when the arrangement changed, so instead of 1 male and 4 females, you were supposed to get 1 male and 1 female?
No, Your Honor. The whole way it was supposed to be 1 male and 4 females.
Do you have any sort of a receipt for that?
We have Instagram conversations.
Do you have that?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it.
Okay.
Right here.
1 male, 4 females. The guy's asking $15,000 for all, and then he says, I'll drop it to 12. Then somebody, I don't have 12 now. I just spent a lot on my monitor. Let's go the rest. Okay, so he said, I don't have that money now. He says, I'm getting 16 lace monitors. You remember that discussion? And then that's a big investment for me right now. I'm saving up to get a house, but I'm down to breed my monitor with any of your monitors. Keep going. So far, I don't have a contract. And then somebody says, no, you pay half and I pay half. Who wrote that?
He did.
Next month. And that's from you. That's from the reptile.
I had to see it, Your Honor.
Okay. If I invest half with you, what will be my return and in how long? Think about it. That's will be the baby's mix price. JTK Reptiles, that's you. Somebody's on their way. That's you and your boyfriend?
Yes. We were on our way to give him the money.
And how much money were you going to give him?
We gave him the first time $6,000 and then $4,000, a total of $10,000.
You received that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what did you purchase with the $10,000?
If you look at the message from there, what she showed you is they pay half of the 5 snake. It means they get 2 of the snake, and I get 2 of the snake. They've been lying to you guys since day one. They want to purchase 2 snake. Then I told them, like, if you look at the message, I can use my male to breed it to your female. It's an investment for you guys, not for us. It's no us. It's not with them at all.
Mr. Cho, were they supposed to take possession of the snakes?
They're supposed to pick up the snake. That's why they come to the store with it.
Which snakes were they supposed to take possession of?
One right here and one out there.
Is that a male or a female?
This is the female.
Has she had babies yet?
No, I don't breed her because she don't belong to me.
And how old is she?
Right now, she should be about 6 years old, going 7.
How long do they live?
Over 30 to 40 years, depends on how you take care of them, like I take care of them.
And there's another one outside the courtroom that's the same as this one. Also a female?
Yes.
And you gave them the $10,000. He acknowledges the $10,000. So we have a verbal contract that you were going to pay for some snakes. He was going to order the snakes for you, which he did. And that was accomplished, and the payment for the snakes was done on what date, the first payment?
Approximately in November of 2019.
And when was the next $4,000 payment?
The same month, I would say like a week.
Good. And when did you order the snakes, Mr. Chow?
Right after I get
the 10th.
Yeah, because I cannot just acquire the animal without the payment.
Okay. So now you've got the payment and you order the animals.
Yes.
On what date do they arrive?
2 days after, they're FedEx delivered to my shop.
And when did you notify the plaintiffs that they were there?
The day that they came, I tell them the snake. I notify the boyfriend.
Okay. Now, Ms. Duenas, a week later you went to the shop. And what happened when you went to the shop? Now he's got $10,000 and he's got 2 snakes.
I just want to clarify, Your Honor, that we even gave him money for the tanks because here in the conversations it says that he can't continue having them in tubs. So he needs us to give him money to invest to buy the tanks to house the snakes. So our original plan was for him to keep the snakes because he has the shop. We, at the time, lived in an apartment. He was well aware of this, that we couldn't have big snakes in our apartment.
He says no, you say yes. I'm not sure how I can resolve that. I'm trying to simplify this contract.
Cassandra Duenas claims exotic pet store owner Brian Chow owes her money for a snake breeding business. Brian says Cassandra changed her mind about the business after he purchased the snakes.
Okay, part of the contract was fulfilled because you paid him. Then he ordered the snakes. Second part was fulfilled. I want you to tell me what happened when you went to see the snakes. You say to see them. He says to pick them up a week later.
So when we went to the shop,
Who
what
went?
led us to...
Who went?
My ex-boyfriend and I. What led us to there is because after he obtained the snakes, he was not reaching out back to us. He was
Just a week later.
Yes.
You went to the shop. He notified you that the snakes were there. There's no question about that. Now, you went to the shop for what purpose?
Because he switched it and then he said it was 2 snakes when originally the plan was 1 male and 4 females. That 1 male was going to breed with the 4. So right out the back, he lied to us what our agreement was here, that he clearly texted us and said 4 males and 1 female. So it was 5 snakes. So we went to the shop.
But there was a problem there with pricing. In the Instagram messages, a suggestion, because some of the texts were unavailable. He said originally they were $15,000. And then there was some discussion of $12,000. And then there was some discussion of $6,000. He says he'll pay half and you pay half. And supposed to give them the snakes. Why would you pay half?
Then they get the 2 of the snake, and I get the 2 of the other snake. It's 5 of them. And the one that we're gonna pretty much, they can have it if they want it, or I can use it when I need it.
You mean the male?
Yes.
So that was the business. Anyway, you went there, and what happened?
So I went in recording. My ex-boyfriend told me, hey, record.
Don't tell me what your ex-boyfriend told you.
Okay.
Just tell me you went in and what happened.
We went in there and we asked him, hey, we agreed on 5 snakes. Now you switched up and you said now it's 2 snakes. First you told us it was 15,000, then 12,000. You were playing games with us the whole time. And at this point, after a week later that he said that he got the snakes, then he told us it was 2 snakes. At that point, we were upset because we had planned and we had counted with 5 snakes. That's why we gave him that ridiculous amount of money. And basically, we didn't want nothing else to do with him. We wanted our money back. And that's what we went for, our money back.
Just a second. Yes. So you walked in wanting your money back?
Yes.
Do you have any text messages, Instagram messages, suggesting that before you got there, you had said to him, we changed our mind, we don't want to be in business with you, we want our money back?
No.
Nothing?
No. He wasn't reaching out, sorry, Your Honor, he wasn't reaching out to us. He was sending him video calls, he was calling him through text message, my ex-boyfriend.
I don't care. You paid the money, he got snakes. The question is, you think there's supposed to be more than 2? He says 2. More money. So the ultimate agreement was for 2. So what happened when you went there? You're there with your boyfriend.
Yes.
And you say, I want my money back. And he says?
He says, I don't have the money here. I have 2 snakes here.
Are you telling me that he didn't call you and say your snakes are in? Is that what you're suggesting? Do you have an invoice for these snakes, Mr. Chow?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to see the invoice for the snakes. By the way, your boyfriend has other of these exotic creatures. Is that right?
To the people that I get them.
What kind of exotic creatures does he have?
One that he sold him, an Australian water monitor from the Philippines.
And?
He has 2 rhino iguanas, a pair. He has a, I don't know the name, but it changes colors.
Mr. Chow, 18.
And those are for the lace monitor that
Are these lace monitors?
Yes.
Sorry, Your Honor, these are not lace monitors. These are reticulated pythons. These are not monitors. Monitors are lizards. These are snakes.
Lace monitor bell face.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, that's not that.
No, Your Honor.
Well, these are useless.
Yes, but that's connected to the rest of what they did.
What does it have to do with these 2 snakes? What I want to see is when you purchased these 2 snakes.
Yeah, I don't have it, Your Honor.
Well, get it. What do you mean you don't have it?
I left it at home. I'm so sorry.
Well, what'd you bring these for?
Those are the time that they both got arrested when they went to my shop.
Yeah, but you now have those back, right?
Yes.
You have those back. So if you had to take documents, why didn't you take the documents for the snakes in question? The lace monitor lizards aren't in question. You have them back. They may have taken them. They were arrested and you finally got them back. So I don't understand that.
I just mistaken grabbed the wrong paper.
Well, Mr. Chow, do you deal with these people regularly, that you buy snakes from them regularly?
Not really. Depends on the size of the animal and depends what kind of animal.
Well, you have the date of purchase someplace, Mr. Chow, and I don't want you to waste my time.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. That's why I just said I don't have it, Your Honor.
Did they purchase that kind of snake?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
It was 5 snakes, Your Honor.
Don't give me 5. That type of snake.
Oh, yes, the reticulated python, yes.
And the one that's outside is the same, correct?
Yes.
And you did not purchase baby snakes.
No.
You wanted full-grown snakes because they were a business. You wanted them able to be breeding. Okay. Should have brought the paperwork. And you went in there that day in November because you had changed your mind.
Yes, and on top, yes.
Because you had changed your mind.
Yes.
That's the answer. You had changed your mind. You can give me a whole bunch of excuses, and you told him you changed your mind, you want your money back. And he said no, because I ordered the snakes, and I got them in, and they're yours. Contract is completed. I'm merely holding your property. And then there was a kerfuffle.
Pay for them.
No, that's not your business. That's not your business, how much you really paid for them. He made a deal. You paid him. If he got them for $2,000 and you paid him $10,000, that's nothing. The kerfuffle, let's draw this down to its most simple English. Mm-hmm. You wanted your money back, and you wanted to cancel this contract.
Yes, it's just when we arrived, those weren't the snakes that we ordered. These were the breed of it, is the ones that he was putting here on Instagram, which I have, which is not those. So we ordered something and we got something else. So
is what you're telling me, you went there to pick up your... Because now it's changed. You went there to pick up your snakes. Mm-hmm. When you got there, they turned out to be a different...
It's breed. It's like the...
Pythons, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
They're pythons, but it was a different kind of python. Mm-hmm. Now you're telling me because it was a different python, you wanted your money back.
Yes, because it wasn't what we paid for. It's like we paid for a Ferrari and we got a Toyota, basically. It's basically
You know nothing about pythons, so... You're taking your cues from your boyfriend because that's his strong suit. Is it yours as well?
No, I'm just the investor.
Right. So your boyfriend had a conversation with him and said, those aren't the snakes that I ordered.
Yes.
Okay. And I want my money back.
Yes.
And you said you recorded all this.
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Exotic pet store owner Brian Chow of wrongfully keeping money for a snake breeding business. Brian says he fulfilled their agreement and claims Cassandra stole property from his store.
And you said you recorded all this?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Okay. You just press play.
Which one?
Oh, right here. And then you press that.
This one?
Yes.
Okay.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
You guys just want to do the money back?
Yeah. The $10,180 in total, and then money on top of that for lending you the money and everything.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, because we didn't see this coming. You just kept on giving us a runaround and a runaround.
Oh, no, what?
About the mail. Remember that?
No, that's why I'm waiting for the mail to be delivered. I don't have the mail.
Yeah, but remember you had told us that the guy had it because he had to leave and he had to gut out because he has surgery and all that stuff.
Yeah.
We gave you the money right there and then. You don't understand what mission we had to go
I didn't know. I don't mind getting you guys your money back, but I don't have cash.
We told you we want to do business correct, and you just keep on giving us another day and another day.
You told us that as soon as we give you the money, the snake was going to be here.
Yeah, it's not about me. It's the guy. It's not me. I'm just buying the snake from a different guy.
And then another thing where you messed up, you said 5 snakes for $6,000 and you come at me with 4 and you wasted my money.
Yeah, and I told you that he gave me only 4 snake, the big giant.
Yeah, and why would you waste money if I told you to get the 5 snakes?
If you worry about the last one, I can pay for it. It's a meal that we don't need.
But I have to do all this, so I have to get like this for you to do that?
No, bro.
How can I trust you now?
Bro, the 4 snake is right here. I'm
gonna go get something.
What's wrong with you, bro? I'm just asking you. Let's talk.
No, we're not gonna talk. I told you don't with me.
I don't call with you, bro.
Dog.
Why? What's
that's
wrong?
gonna be mine.
Because we gave you a lot of money. We're talking about over $10,000, and you're just giving us the runaround. First, you told us 5 snakes.
This is what we can do. I'll take it. And when you get the money, I'll give it back. Yeah, female too.
No.
Oh, no? All right. Well.
Come on, bro. You're looking at a 15 grand.
I told you don't play with me.
I don't play with you.
You don't even have the money right now.
Open them up, man.
I get the half of the money.
Open them up.
I'm trying to talk to you, bro.
No, there's no more talking because we gave you the money right here and then. That's unprofessional. You're trying to scam us, and you don't do that to people like that.
I didn't. How did I scam you?
Before I open it.
You're telling me that you don't have the money.
I have half of the money because I'm waiting for the snake. Bro, if you guys gonna get arrested.
There's no arrested. We're just getting what you took from us. Over $10,000.
I'm trying to talk
Over
to you.
$10,000.
You're gonna open it. I'm trying to talk to you.
No, we tried to talk to you. You're telling us you're gonna have the money. I have everything in video.
I don't care. You can record me, bro.
Alright, so are you gonna
You
open
don't
it?
play with people's money. You can call
You owe
whoever
me
you
over
want.
$15,000.
This is 15 grand.
We don't care.
Can you call a cop, please?
No. Alright, watch out. Back away. I told you, don't play with my money.
What are you doing?
What do you mean? He owes me money.
I don't care. He owes his money.
They're gonna deal with the police.
Now I'll play that video, please. That's your boyfriend breaking into the...
Yes.
And when he broke the glass and took out whatever lizards he took out with him, where did he take them? You were still with him?
Yes, he put it in a bin.
And is that you carrying them out?
Yes, and that's the reason why I was charged with the robbery, just because I walked out with the item.
That's all right. That's fine. That's a co-conspirator. Ultimately, the lizards that you took were returned to you.
Yes, Your Honor.
And it seems, Mr. Chow, at the beginning of this case, I must acknowledge to you that I was sympathetic to your position, that they had ordered snakes. You ordered them. You got them.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then the contract is completed. Uncross your arms.
No, I'm so sorry.
But it's clear from the tape that the plaintiff played for me that you acknowledged that you did not fulfill your end of the contract, that you were blaming your inability to fulfill your end of the contract on some third party. Is that what I heard in the tape? I mean, you know, my hearing's not really acute, but that's what you said. I have no control. I can give you back half your money, but I can't give you back all your money. So the contract was not complete.
It was complete because they supposed to get only 2 snakes.
I didn't see anywhere where it says just 2 snakes. There was a whole bunch of conversation there about the male snake, and you were supposed to deliver to them the male snake. And you said, I don't have that money now, but I can get that money for you. I can give you the first money. I don't have the second money. It was clear that the contract was not complete unless you have something to show me that it was. But what I heard, it was not. That doesn't mean that Ms. Duenas has the right to break your property and to steal property that belongs to you. What they do is they come into a court and say, you have my money. The contract was not fulfilled. I want my money back. That's what you do. Are you in the business of breeding snakes for your store?
Yes, Your Honor.
And if we were to go on the internet now,
Yes, Your Honor.
how much would one of those snakes, which is 6 or 7 years old, according to you, sell for?
Right now, this size you...
On the internet, for sale. How fast would it take you to sell it?
I'll say like about a month and a half.
They're rare.
Yes.
Is that right? That's what you're saying.
It's rare and is just not a lot of people will acquire that much money.
Even though they can sell the babies. And how many babies do they have?
In a year, they can do from 30 to 50.
And each one of the 30 to 50, you can sell for $3,500.
Yes.
I suggest you do that. She gets her $10,000 back. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I'm very happy, and I'm happy that she was able to see herself that the defendant got caught. multiple lies.
They're just a customer.
He wasn't truthful since the beginning. Ever since we invested.
They bought a snake. I want to give their snake, but they don't want to take it.
And it's very sad how nowadays you can't trust in anybody.
I think one great lesson that a lot of people can take away from that is you have to know the business that you're investing in. I can appreciate she was sort of doing it for her boyfriend and he had the knowledge about the exotic animals, but that's her money at the end of the day. And if you're going to put your own hard-earned money on the line, it should be a business that you at least put in the time to learn about.
To understand.
Exactly. So that you don't have to rely on somebody else to make the right decisions.
Who's going to be gone tomorrow?
Exactly. Exactly.
And your
who
money is
potentially could, and then you're left on your own, having to sue and navigate a field that you really know nothing about.
Smart. And it was also an example of a contract that was not fully executed. I actually thought when I started the case that there was an offer, an acceptance, you performed, paid the money, got the snakes, and then you can't change your mind. Once you get it, you say, well, I changed my mind. But that's not what happened.
Nope.
And her video demonstrated that that's not what happened because Mr. Chow started to waft. Well, it's not my fault I don't have your mail. It's another guy, and I would give it to you, but I can't give it to you as soon as I get it, you know.
Yeah.
So he did not deliver on the contract. So I had very little compulsion other than to say, you don't have to take the snake and you get your money back.
Yeah.
Anyway, done. Yeah. And the snake is gone.
Left the building.
After her dog was injured during Cherie's care.
Miss Hernandez, how old is your puppy?
She's 6 months, Your Honor.
And when she was 4 months old, you needed a home sitter for your dog. Or
Yes.
you needed a place to board her for a weekend, long weekend. You live on an Army base.
A naval base.
Naval base. Does the defendant live on the base as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
And she approached you or whatever and said that she was available for sitting. Is that what you do to make some extra money?
Yes, Your Honor.
And on the 22nd of December of last year, which is when this incident occurred, you dropped the dog off at the defendant's home.
December 16.
It was the 16th?
Yes.
And when you dropped the puppy off at the defendant's home, she was in. I want you to tell me something that I'm going to believe. That you and your mother were in the room with your 10-year-old sister, and you saw what happened with the dog. Yeah. Just a second. I want you to make sure that that's what you're telling me.
Sofia Hernandez claims her dog sitter, Cherie Vieira, is responsible for vet bills after her dog Dolce was injured during Cherie's care.
Because Ms. Hernandez has an outstanding vet bill for surgery.
We took her in. And we had also another dog.
I want you to tell me, you, when you say you took her in, did you or somebody else?
It's a family effort. My children also help take care of the dogs. I started watching dogs because my youngest child was deathly afraid of dogs. She was bit by a dog at the age of 2. So we started this so she could learn how to take care of dogs properly, know their signs and things like that. And we took Dolce into my daughter's room.
Which daughter?
Into my youngest daughter's room.
Is that you?
I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest. And how old is your youngest daughter?
She's 10.
Okay, so I want you to be consistent with what you put in your answer. You were all in your daughter's room?
Yes.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, ma'am.
Just 1 second. Okay. So your husband was with another dog in the yard.
Yes.
So I brought this dog into my daughter's room, your 10-year-old daughter's room, to settle down.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then you don't know what happened because you weren't watching.
I was actually...
No, you were not watching. That's what it says here.
Well, I was taking pictures.
It doesn't make any difference. It would be on your camera if you were taking pictures. And if you were taking pictures, then you would have exactly what happened with the dog that caused the dog to have a broken leg. But you don't have those pictures. Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So that you were not watching and you did not see what happened at the moment the dog was injured.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
But I do have a witness that I brought with me, my daughter, who actually did see as I was sending pictures to Ms. Hernandez.
You sure you want to do that? Are you sure you want to do that? Be very careful, Miss Vieira. Are you sure you want to put her there for me to question? Are you sure? Are you sure?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
I don't think so. And you saw what happened with the dog.
Yeah.
Just a second. I want you to make sure that that's what you're telling me. So you were in the room?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Your first name is?
Abigail.
I'd like to see a picture of Abigail in the room with the dog when you were sending pictures, allegedly, to the plaintiff of the dog. I just want to see pictures of her in the room.
Your Honor, I did not make pictures of those.
Why not? She was there. You were taking pictures of the dog. I assume your 10-year-old's room is not the size of
Dolce.
I don't care after you were bit by Dolce. You were bit by the puppy because she was injured.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. That was after she was injured.
Yes.
I want to see a picture of your daughter that you were taking pictures of, allegedly to send to the plaintiff to show her how the dog was adjusting.
I do not have pictures of that,
Right.
Your Honor.
Yeah. Miss Vieira, do you want to know the truth? I don't believe you were in the room with your daughter, either one of them, and the puppy. I think that you left the puppy with your 10-year-old, and you don't know what happened. That's what I believe. And whether I believe, and it's accurate or not accurate, the dog was injured in your care. So you're responsible for the surgical bill. It's that simple. Dog got a broken leg in your care with enough adults there to watch the dog. Your husband, the older daughter, and you put her in the room with your 10-year-old because you
urgent care bill and the surgery bill as well.
So the invoice was $58.18
for the surgery
and $862. 6608, judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
You know, I'm happy because those vet bills are really high. You know, it's not something that
I still don't know. I researched online. I think maybe that the dog already had an injury prior. She was at my house 25 minutes.
I would never drop off my dog like that.
She jumped up to retrieve a toy out of my daughter's hand from the floor, a fluffy carpet, and she landed and cried.
With a pre-existing condition, I would watch her myself.
About 3 minutes after, I called her mom to let her know that she was hurt, injured.
You know, my heart dropped. You know, I was upset we didn't go on the trip, but she's my baby. Turned around.
She wanted to know how bad it was because she wanted to go on her trip, and I told her it was bad enough for her dog to bite me.
We took her straight to the urgent care.
I asked her to come back to get her dog. I didn't want to move the dog, so she came back and had us bring the dog out. Glad the dog's okay.
Dulce's great. Her leg is healed. She's on a recovery program.
So, no issue?
Simple.
Dog didn't break its leg itself?
Yep.
You know, common sense dictates to me that they brought the puppy in to play with the 10-year-old. Otherwise, they would have had photographs of the other daughter in the room. It didn't happen, but it really doesn't matter because
no bad intentions, no, you know, nothing was done on purpose, but
but it was negligent. Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case 2195, Sherrod versus Vasquez.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Surratt, you and Mr. Vasquez were in a relationship for a period of time and have 2 children together. How old are the children?
I have a daughter that's 15 and a son that's 8.
How long did you and Mr. Vasquez live together, if you did live together?
It was a lot of off and on, so I would say maybe a combined time of 8 years.
And does your daughter enjoy a relationship with her father?
Unfortunately, no.
Is that correct?
As far as I knew, that she had a great relationship with me.
When was the last time you saw your daughter, sir?
We spoke just a couple of days ago. You know, she has more time with friends now, but I do speak with her on a frequent basis.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Why don't you wait outside? Okay? Because, Ms. Surratt, I don't believe in, unless it's absolutely necessary, and certainly in this situation, it doesn't sound to me as if it's absolutely necessary to have your teenage daughter as a witness over a couple of $1,000s, which you may or may not be entitled to. Certainly, her father is in touch with her. She said he's in touch with her, which means that they communicate and that they have a relationship. Because I read the complaint and I read the answer, and I have a few basic questions. You're suing Mr. Vasquez, who you haven't lived with in many, many years, but who you share, according to what I've read here, joint legal and physical custody. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that pursuant to a court order?
Yes.
And when was that court order made?
I have a copy of it, so I can tell you.
2011, Your Honor. 2011.
Was there a trial, Mr. Vasquez?
There was a trial.
It was from 2017.
Well, there was one in 2011.
This is the original one. It hasn't changed since then. We have parenting and legal custody, and a child support order, which is separate.
So the 2016 order, the ex parte order, originally granted Mr. Vasquez custody of the children. Yes, you were the respondent in that case. It says on October 28, 2016, petitioner, that is Mr. Vasquez, filed a motion to establish custody and parenting time. The petitioner, that is Mr. Vasquez, seeks joint legal and physical custody. The petitioner also sought an order granting sole legal custody of the children based upon the allegations that his daughter was watching his son without supervision for extended periods of time and that his daughter was not attending school. Child Protective Services did an investigation and actually found that you were not sending your daughter to school.
Correct.
And she was staying home and she was babysitting. Okay. Would you tell me, without my having to go through this whole thing, was there a child support order entered?
Yes.
Ultimately the children remained with you.
Correct.
The final order. And what was the child support order?
The child support order initially was $93 a month. I think I have a copy of it. And then to increase based off cost of living adjustments.
Your Honor.
I'm sorry, that's not the order.
Well, I asked how much you pay. Were you ever in arrears of payment?
I was at one point, and then I caught up, so I've been caught
Well,
up.
they're catching up, so that $230 may be partly arrears. What is the order?
Oh, I'm completely caught up with my child support.
So the current order that you're paying is $230 a month?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. This is what you're suing for. It is your claim that Mr. Vasquez agreed to pay half of certain sporting fees that the children had that are not contained in the child support order, and he didn't. So you're suing him for that, and he says that you never had such an agreement, that you enrolled the children in sporting activities, and then came to him and said, do you owe me half? Am I reading that correctly?
Your Honor, that's correct.
That's your position?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so let's move on to the plaintiff's position that you wanted to change the child support order to not what he was paying, but what he was paying, and half of their sporting activities.
We actually had a verbal agreement.
Well, I'd like you to tell me when that took place, what you said to him, and what he said to you. So tell me first when that verbal agreement took place.
It was 2021, probably. Just a conversation between two parents to say if we enroll.
It's a conversation between two parents.
Right.
So he's seeing the children, he's paying his child support, whatever the order was. You have a conversation with him. Is it on the phone or in person?
Desiree Surratt claims her ex-boyfriend, Curtis Vasquez, owes for the cost of a car and childcare. Curtis is countersuing for car repairs and vacation.
Between two parents to say if we enroll.
It's a conversation between two parents.
Right.
So he's seeing the children, he's paying his child support, whatever the order was. You have a conversation with him. Is it on the phone or in person?
No, in person.
At your home?
Yes.
Okay. And tell me about the conversation. What did you say to him and what did he say to you?
I don't remember the exact words, but...
Well, that's why we bring these things quickly, because now it's 2 years later.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was basically, well, he wants to play this sport, Angelina wants to do track, this is how much it's going to cost, and his response was just, okay, let me know how much it is, and I'll pay half.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's not quite correct. We don't have just conversation. We don't have any conversation at all. We communicate via text, and I rarely get a response. I've taken care of...
Just a second. We're talking about this one instance.
Okay.
She said that you had a conversation with her where you agreed to pay half of their sporting events. Based on that, I assume that you enrolled the children in the sporting events, paid the fee, and then said to him, this is your half. And he said, I'm not paying that half.
That's not correct, Your Honor. I didn't agree to pay half.
No, I'm not saying you agreed to pay half. That's what her position is.
I actually enrolled my son into soccer.
When?
It was this summer in July. And he was supposed to go for a month, and she took the kids out of the state without my knowledge for an extended vacation. And so I didn't have her pay half of that. And when she came back, she wanted to make that up to him. But that's without my knowledge.
Okay. How much did you pay for court order for support? Okay. So I'm eliminating that. You want to change the order of support, you have to change it in court. Now let's move on to the second thing that you think that he owes you for. Cell phone. Let's hear about the cell phone.
He opened a cell phone account for my daughter.
When?
I don't know when it was.
When did you open a cell phone account, sir?
About 7 years ago.
And he paid it? He opened an account and he paid it?
Him or his dad. It was a business account.
I don't care.
I don't know
You
who
didn't
paid
pay it.
Correct.
You didn't pay it. So your daughter has had a cell phone for the last 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you didn't see the bills for it?
Correct.
Okay, so he paid it.
Somebody paid it, yes. Yeah.
He paid it.
I paid it, Your Honor.
You didn't pay it?
Correct.
Okay. So now you want money for a cell phone. For what?
Just for the last 6 months that I paid. I never agreed to, so I'm just asking for
Then
half
take
of
the
that.
phone away.
Well, she's 15. She's got
I
a
understand
job
that.
and
I understand that. Who bought her the phone?
I bought the phone.
Okay. And how many years ago did you buy the phone?
It was about 1.5 years ago.
Okay. And it was paid for on his plan?
No, I paid for the phone cash.
No. The bills, ongoing bills, were paid for by him and the phone that you bought her 1.5 years ago, because you said you've been paying the bills for 6 months.
Yep.
Is that correct? Whitney, didn't you say I've been paying the bills for the last 6 months?
Yes. Correct.
Well, so when you first got the phone for 1 year, he was paying the bills.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Well, he was paying the bills for 7 years, but certainly after you bought the phone. But prior to that, she had a different phone. She had to have had a different phone because he was paying the phone bills for 6 years. Who bought that phone?
I don't know.
Your Honor, I purchased that phone. It was the iPhone XR.
Okay. So you bought the first phone, you bought a second phone. Very court's involved for.
I never agreed to pay the cell phone.
Well, he never agreed to pay his cell phone when she was 13 or 12. Your parents. He paid it for a long time. Now you're paying it. What do you do for a living, sir?
I'm a realtor.
You work in a family business?
Absolutely.
Tell me about the family business.
It's children first and foremost. You know what's best for them.
No. The family business, sir.
Oh, the family business.
You're in real estate. Is it a family business?
It is not a family business.
It's just yours. And you've been in real estate for how long?
For about 3 years now. And prior to that, I was in sales. That is a family business, and it's real estate marketing.
That's a family
That's
business.
Family business.
You're not involved with that anymore. You still are.
Yes.
Who owns that business?
Dad.
Your father.
He does, yes.
How many employees do you have?
Just about 10, Your Honor.
So your father employs 10 people, and you're one of them.
That's correct, Your Honor.
And what does your father pay you annually?
Oh, it's commission only, so no benefits.
And in the other real estate operation, do you have your own office, or do you operate out of your father's office?
My own office.
Where?
In Maple Grove, Minnesota.
Do you have any employees?
I don't.
So you work for your father on commission and yourself?
Commission only as
Commission
well in
only.
the real estate market.
Okay. Did you file tax returns last year?
No, I did not.
Is there any reason for that?
Just late. Just over.
You're late. You're a year late.
Yeah.
What about the year before? Did you file tax returns?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Phone bill, you paid it for her, fine. And if you don't want to pay it anymore, let her get an after-school job and pay for her own phone. Now, the next thing that you're suing for is, according to your complaint, you had a car that you weren't using. Mr. Vasquez has a father who wanted a car. It is your claim that Mr. Vasquez, without your permission, sold the car, your car, to his father for $700, and you didn't get any of that money.
Correct.
Mr. Vasquez says his father was going to buy the car. He drove it. He didn't want to buy it because it had issues, and it's sitting in his father's driveway waiting for you to come and get it, and that he never got $700 from his father for the car. That's his position, correct?
No, there's a correction. I did get $700 and paid him back the next day because the car broke down within a day.
Because what?
It broke down within a day.
Okay, so you did sell it to him.
Yes. We were in the middle of the transaction. He paid for the car at the office, which is about 10 miles away from home. And while driving the car home, it broke down. So we hadn't received the title or anything, so I returned the money.
Desiree Surratt has accused her ex-boyfriend, Curtis Vasquez, of selling her car without her permission. Curtis claims he refunded the money, and she can take the car back.
Okay, so you did sell it to him.
Yes. We were in the middle of the transaction. He paid for the car at the office, which is about 10 miles away from home. And while driving the car home, it broke down. So we hadn't received the title or anything, so I returned the money.
Is the car still titled in your name?
Yes.
So go get it.
I don't want the car, no.
Well, it's your car. It's titled in your name.
Yes, but apparently I have text messages showing.
Sitting in the driveway, father doesn't want it, title didn't transfer, he didn't get money for the car and keep it. It was a sort of silly transaction because what you are suggesting is he should have said to his father, that's it, it was sold, it's sold as is, you can't have your $700 back.
Right, and my understanding is that his dad, through a conversation that I had with his dad did not get the money back.
You can't tell me about the conversation. If you have text messages between them, I would like to see them.
I do, yes. So there's those text messages. And I also have several text messages where Curtis agrees to pay me the money and also telling me the
This
car
is
ran
Desiree. Curtis said you would take possession of the Kia, but I asked about the title. Big Curtis, is that your father?
Your Honor, yes, it is.
Okie dokie. Mr. Vasquez, your father says that he gave you the money.
That's correct.
And that it certainly wasn't a day, because 2 weeks later, he writes back, sorry, not good at checking my text. If we could arrange for me to get the title while you were here, that would be awesome. That's 2 weeks later. Your father didn't say to her, he gave me the money back. He said, I want the title. That's 2 weeks later. So the story you just gave me was a whole lot of who shot John.
Well, Your Honor, there's one thing that we need to clear up right away is that it was never sold without her knowledge.
Just a second. Now what I'm asking you, sir, I'm saying that your original story to me was that I sold my father the car down the next day.
He said the car broke down within a day.
Within a day, and so you gave him his money back. Well, that's not what your father says here, sir. That's not what your father says here.
I went back and forth with him for days, but I gave him his money back.
No. What you told me was a lie. You told me it broke down the day you gave him his money back. The initial conversation she had was May 9th. And then May 16th, she's having a conversation with Big Curtis. That's your father. Mm-hmm. Sorry for not checking my texts. Can you get me the title? Which means 2 weeks later, he wanted the title. And then your father says about you, Curtis owes me big time money. And I can't get money from him either. That's your father.
Oh, yeah, that's correct, Your Honor.
Big Curtis says to her, can you tell me what problem does Curtis have that caused him to spend massive amounts of money in such a short period of time? She answers, drugs, alcohol, gambling, he's a functional addict. He even got around $40,000 and he blew every penny. So the $700 you gave him for the car, I'm just going to file a small claims. For whatever reason, he's refusing to give it to me. It's not your fault that he stole the money from me. Just FYI, I have no issue giving you the title. Okay. So far, he owes you $700 for the car. And then we're finished. Get Big Curtis the title. Mail it to him. He sends you his address.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Great. Now you have a counterclaim, Mr. Vasquez.
Yes, Your Honor. I have some evidence I'd like to present.
Don't give me all that nonsense. You say that the plaintiff canceled a vacation trip. You made plane arrangements to take your children somewhere, and she took the children out of state and was on parts. When was that?
That was the car in question that we were just talking about.
Okay, you planned a trip to Portugal in August of 2022.
That's correct.
Airplane tickets. Where'd you get the money for all that?
My parents helped me with the purchase of the kids' tickets.
Why?
Because I couldn't afford all of them.
Who was going on the trip?
It was going to be my wife, myself, and 2 kids.
Did you go on the vacation to Portugal with your wife?
No, we did not make it.
You did not make it?
Correct. Why? Because she is responsible of...
No. Not her. Not with your 2 kids. Did you go with your wife?
No, I didn't.
Why?
I didn't want to go without the kids. It was the whole purpose was to bring the kids to see the grandparents.
Does your wife work?
Yes.
What kind of work does she do?
She's a bartender.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $700. Don't make any more private agreements with him, madam. I think it's a big mistake.
I agree.
We're done. Your counterclaim's dismissed. We're
Your Honor.
finished.
Thank you.
I had one more.
I just ruled that your counterclaim is dismissed.
Your Honor.
You're finished. I have very little to say about that case, very little thoughts, except that Big Curtis, the defendant's father, doesn't like him.
I didn't get to read the messages, but
clearly. He said, what is he doing with all the money? My initial reading of that case was, maybe she's being unreasonable. really not being unreasonable.
Yeah.
I have a feeling there's not a lot more to little Curtis than we were able to.
Paid loan she gave him for a car.
Miss Young, the defendant is married to your daughter?
No.
He is the father of your grandchild?
Yes.
Do he and your daughter live together?
No.
Where does your daughter live?
In Maple Shade.
Were they ever married?
No.
They have one child?
Yes.
Who's 12?
Yes.
Did you live together with Miss Young's daughter?
Well, at one point, she lived with me in Maple Shade.
How long ago?
This was 2010, 2011.
You mean when your daughter was a baby?
Yes.
How long have you had custody of your granddaughter?
11 years. My daughter never stayed with him.
I don't know. And he wrote that off of the loan. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Essie Young claims her granddaughter's father, Keith Buchanan, refuses to pay back a loan she gave him for a car.
This is a very simple case, because I don't have to get into the history of...
He was calling every day.
Did you maintain a relationship with him?
Yes and no.
Would he visit his daughter?
No.
Ever?
Once in a blue moon.
Okay.
I usually have to take my granddaughter to see him.
Okay, it was sort of odd to me if he was never married to your daughter, so they didn't have a formalized relationship. They don't live together now. Why would you loan him? I know that you did.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you loan him money?
My granddaughter.
Except you're a very nice person.
My granddaughter asked me to. She said, "Grandma, would you please help my dad?" I told her I really don't want to.
During one of these visits that you needed money to buy a car?
No, never did.
You never did?
No.
Who is this person?
That's my wife.
Does she work?
Yes.
Do you work?
Yes.
Well, why would you ask your daughter's grandmother, who takes care of her, who's always taken care of her? You don't. Neither does her mother. Why would you not ask your wife's family? You both work. Take out a loan. Why would you go to her and ask her for money?
But it was just... Yes, you do. I did that, and at the time, they couldn't help.
So you went to her parents first?
I went to her family first. They said, sorry, they can't help at the time. So Mrs. Young was my last resource, which I didn't want to use, but at the time, I had to use it because I had no other choice. I had to hurry up and get a vehicle.
Well, why didn't you take out a loan?
Actually, I couldn't.
What do you mean you couldn't?
Because my credit's not all that great. I tried to take out loans. I tried to go...
Does your wife have a car?
Yes, she has a car.
Okay, why don't you use her car?
She worked. I work an hour and a half away from home, and she worked too, and we worked around the same time.
How much money did you borrow from her?
$2,000.
How much did you give back?
$912.
$912. From what?
From my taxes. And we agreed on once I filed my taxes, I would give her $2,000 for my taxes. She got $912 from them, that same taxes, because I owed backup child support. So she got on top of my regular payment for child support plus $912.
What? Is there something wrong with your mind?
No.
Did you just say to me, am I crazy? Did he say he owed back child support?
Yes.
Oh, my God. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Well, not ever. I should take that back. It's the dumbest thing I've heard today. If you owed her back child support, how much did you owe her?
I only owed her $900.
In back child support?
Yes.
Okay.
That I fully forgot.
Just a second. You owed her that money. In addition to owing her that money, you owed her $2,000. Do you understand that? So you owed her $900 plus $2,000. Are you not following me? Am I getting something wrong here?
I'm with you.
Out of your taxes for back child support, $900. So that means you paid her $900 of the $2,000. That's what your argument is.
Yes.
Am I getting that?
Yes.
You already owed her the $900.
I had no awareness that I owed her $900. When I found out that $900 got taken out the taxes.
Now we need more time. Oh, my God. How is your granddaughter in school? She do okay?
Yes, she
does
well.
okay?
Yes.
Okay. Either his math skills or his moral skills are somehow lacking.
It's the moral.
Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $2,000. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I think the judge seen right through him.
He was gonna be miserable, so I just let him be miserable.
No one thinks like that.
As long as she go about her life, I go about my life, leave my family alone.
I just think he was hustling me.
Only contact me when he got something to do with my daughter, that's it.
I don't want any.
He was expecting $2,000 on his tax returns, so he told plaintiff, when I get it, I'll repay you the $2,000. And then in his mind, when the $900 left the account, he didn't know that that was not going to be there for the back child support. So he only had, the $900 and change left to give her. I was like, okay, that makes sense. He thought that it would be the full $2,000. Come to find out, he thinks that the back child support is what fulfills his obligation.
Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh Cùng Mình. Hôm nay chúng ta cùng tô màu bức tranh một gia đình 5 thành viên. Chị tô tóc màu đen. Kem vào áo. Áo cho bố màu xanh. Vậy là chúng ta đã hoàn thành xong bức tranh một gia đình gồm 4 thành viên. Và đây là thành quả ngày hôm nay. Hẹn gặp lại các bạn ở những video tiếp theo.